How's it go, guys? I got some Star Wars songs stuck in my head. We're here to debate. We're gonna be mostly respectful. We're here to talk to conservatives or really anyone who disagrees with the above statements. Tell me what you're thinking. How's it going, boys and girls and neithers? Ladies with gentle hands, as Drake once said. Pretty iconic. Go ahead and hit that join button. Let's make sure I know how this thing works. I've been struggling with it lately, but I think I figured it out last time. I have Jedi Rock stuck in my head, which is a crazy song to get stuck in my head. All right. We're doing debates, talking Trump, talking Iran war, talking Epstein files, really whatever's coming up, whatever you guys want to talk about. Doing some debates. Go ahead and join. If you feel like I'm an idiot, you're the person who I want to talk to. I might be an idiot, but you might too. Let's find out together, you know? Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are having a good Thursday. Enjoying life. Is it boring that I'm not saying anything and I'm just sort of speaking? Should I just be waiting silently while, people jump in eventually? People will come in eventually, but, I don't really know what to say in the meantime. I feel like every time I go to these debate shows, everyone's just already got people. I don't see the beforehand where they're just sort of milling around waiting for someone to join. I don't know if I have anything prepared. But come on in if you disagree with the above questions. Or above prompts, I guess I should call them. Anyone think I'm an idiot? I might be, but let's find out together. Oh, and we got someone. Hello.
Well, you asked the question.
Ooh, let me turn you up a little bit on my end.
Oh, I certainly think you're an idiot.
Okay, dope. What about me is stupid?
Well, let's just start
an idiot. I want to be clear.
Let's just start with the last line here. Okay. Now, I'm only answering the question. I'm only answering the question because you proposed it.
Okay.
Okay. Now, let's take the last line. Mm-hmm. There are no objective ethics.
Yeah, I'm a little bit of an anti-realist.
Yeah. How could you possibly know that?
To me, what I sort of use is an Occam's razor approach. I think if you believe in objective ethics, I think it's certainly true that they don't.
Occam's razor is not logically determinative.
Sure. No, I agree with that. I don't think I can maybe necessarily.
So what is your justification? What is your justification for the universal statement? There is no objective ethics.
I think I'm mostly arriving at that conclusion because it seems like a simpler argument than agreeing that there are no subjective ethics, that there are objective ethics. And certainly you would agree that you can't prove that there are objective ethics.
That's not informative to say it's simpler. You're just repeating Occam's razor.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
I think
Do you understand you're repeating Occam's razor?
I keep saying that that's how I sort of arrived at
Occam's razor. Okay, Occam's razor. Is that Occam's razor is that when you have can I speak without you cutting me off?
Am I cutting you off?
I mean,
I don't think I'm speaking.
You want to learn something today?
Whoa, hey, I think I've been
Okay.
pretty...
Yeah, well, actually, you will. Okay. So Occam's razor.
Hey, look.
Okay,
if we want to be kind here,
what is wrong
I
with you
think
atheist TikTokers?
I think that you're being
Yeah,
a
you
little
just keep
aggressive
on
here. I'm saying
interrupting.
let's just calm down.
I'm not being aggressive. I'm getting agitated because you keep on cutting me off in mid-sentence.
Look, I'm just saying, calm down. We can have the conversation. And
okay, how about you start cutting me off in mid-sentence?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, do you have adult self-control?
I think so. You wanna go ahead and talk?
Being the fact that I'm significantly older than you, I'm getting agitated because you're acting like an impulsive teenager.
Look,
let me finish speaking.
I'm not gonna interrupt you.
Yeah, you don't shut the fuck up. This is what's wrong with you.
Okay, I'm gonna let you go, but just because you haven't been nice.
Yeah, so you just want to overtalk people, and then you.
Okay, nothing wrong. Just go ahead and speak your mind, okay? Like, I do think that the only reason I was interrupting just to say, hey, go ahead and speak your mind. Hello. We're bringing you in. Hopefully you're a little bit less of a crash out than the last guy.
Hey, so I just want to ask you a question.
Yeah, go for it.
You have an argument for why moral realism is false?
No, but it's certainly true that I'm going to say two main things. The first is that there's sort of, it's irreconcilable, that there is no real way to point to any specific thing other than predetermined axioms between two different parties to reconcile different different ethics. What I will also say is that certainly I've seen no proof of objective ethics, so I think that the burden of proof is on the other person.
So two things. The second thing was an argument from ignorance. The fact that you personally have not seen any proof from the contrary doesn't mean that the view that you're holding is the case.
No, that arguments of ignorance only count if. So I think that the burden of proof is the person claiming that there are objective ethics.
Yeah, I mean, if someone says that there's objective ethics, they have the burden of proof to show them. But
right, and so because I haven't, sorry, just to be really clear, sorry, you can speak after this. Because I haven't seen any argument for objective ethics, because they have the burden of proof, I think that it's fair for me to say and I'm willing to change my mind. You know, if there's an argument that does convince me, I'm happy to change my mind on it. But as of yet, I have no proof of it, and because they have the burden of proof, then it doesn't exist.
The reason why they don't have the burden of proof for you claiming the negative is that presumably there's philosophers that argue for anti-realism, whether it's nihilism, non-cognitivism, or relativism. They give arguments for that. If you're just saying, well, it's not the case that they exist, given that because of my ignorance, it obviously doesn't follow.
Well, so couldn't I invoke like Russell's teapot here, where if I don't have proof that there is no teapot circling around the moon, then I can just claim that there is no teapot circling around the moon until I see evidence otherwise?
It's presupposing verificationism.
Walk me through verificationism.
Something is only true if and only if it's verified through.
How else can I arrive at that truth?
Through what truth?
How else could I arrive at the truth that there are universal ethics or that there are objective ethics?
Use deduction or induction.
Okay, can you walk me through that process?
It's a burden shift.
Yeah, it's a burden shift. I do think that you have the burden of proof.
I disagree, and I walked you through how I don't.
Okay, if you want to be agnostic on subjectivity and objectivity of ethics, and you're caught off guard by my assertive stance, I agree with you. That's fair. I think that maybe agnosticism on ethics is maybe the correct stance to take. I do think personally that there's a burden of proof on claiming that there is objective ethics. If you disagree, whatever. I think we probably agree on everything then.
I want to talk about the first thing that you said. I think you tried to give like a reason for why there's no objective ethics, or you said if two parties come to a disagreement, what it amounts to is their axioms that.
Yes, I fully agree, but aren't axioms arbitrary necessarily?
Aren't axioms arbitrarily? I don't know if I agree with that.
Really?
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna say I do have a degree in mathematics, and like there are specific axioms that you can kind of choose arbitrarily whether or not they're useful or not. So like, for example, there's Euclidean geometry and non-Euclidean geometry. The only difference between these is that different axioms are stated at the beginning. I fully agree that your axioms are probably different, but those axioms can be arbitrarily chosen as long as they're consistent and helpful.
Oh, okay, never mind. I think I see the issue. Okay, so what I take an axiom to be is that which is taken to be the case without arguments.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. Well, I don't. Oh, the issue with saying that moral facts are restricted to axioms is that presumably people can argue. It's like saying God is an axiom. Presumably God, even if you're an atheist, you can presumably think that God is argued for and against. So that's the issue with saying things like God are
Yeah. I would fully agree with you. I would definitely say that people who believe in God largely take this as an axiom. It's sort of an unprovable assertion that they use to guide their life.
Well, no, I'm saying the issue is that presumably you can give. I'm not saying it is the case that God's provable. I'm saying you can give reasons favor and in favor of it. Whereas axioms, you can't prove an axiom.
Correct. Yeah. No, totally. They're unprovable assertions. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my contention with just saying that moral facts are axioms.
Because presumably from axioms though, like for example, sorry, I'm just going to give my example. I have a very subjective ethical. I mean, I would obviously say it's a subjective ethical system. My subjective ethical system is that people should not be killed. Now, that's an axiom that I just sort of assume. There's no way to prove that. I'm accepting that without proof, and I have to. If I meet a psychopath who doesn't have that axiom, who just doesn't believe that people are worth living, which is something I accept without proof. I can't prove that. It's actually something I just accept into my system. It's completely irreconcilable. I don't know how to pronounce that word.
Are you good? Okay, I see the disagreement here. So the fact. Okay, so when we say things like killing people is wrong, there's this whole field in ethics called like normative ethics, right? Which gives general principles for why things are wrong. So presumably, like let's say you're a utilitarian, you can give accounts for why killing all people is wrong. But if it's an axiom, then you can't prove it's wrong. Now, what you're saying though is that if you come across like a sociopath, there's no way for you to prove to a sociopath that the thing itself is wrong. But the issue with that is that the fact that people disagree with moral facts or like ethical theories have nothing to do with the truth value of the ethical theory. Like in the same sense, if people were to disagree, let's say you were to encounter a flat earther, and they like really disagree that the earth is flat. They just believe dogmatically that the earth is flat, and give them like a photo of the earth, like a satellite image, right? The fact that they disagree the same way the psychopath would disagree, and there's no way to which you can prove it to both of them, has nothing to do with if your normative ethical theory or if that scientific fact can be provable or non-provable.
I don't think I followed at the end. What do you mean? So sorry, and I want to be super clear here. When you say that like the axiom can be uncontested, I fully agree with that. But I would say that, and maybe I'm not arguing maybe I'm not understanding your argument, and we can walk through it a little bit slower. But if I meet someone who, let's just say, is a conservative, who I obviously disagree with for most of my issues, we're going to have the same exact axiom. We both don't want people to die. We both want people to be taken care of. We both think that most people in the world are healthy. And so we can disagree on the facts of the matter past that axiom because our axioms are compatible. But if they're incompatible, there is no reconciling.
Well, the contention is that my contention is like saying things like killing all people are axioms. I think those can be proven like to be wrong. Like,
how so?
Yeah, like if you're a utilitarian, you can say that.
Yeah. No. Sorry. I fully agree with you. But the utilitarian has to claim that utility is good. It's worth striving for. And I know that that's just sort of like obvious. Like, but the idea that human pleasure is something that is worth striving for is an axiom embedded in utilitarianism.
Well, that would depend on your meta-ethical view, right?
Right, which is I'm an anti-realist with it, which would make sense, right?
Right, but if you're just saying that, well, if that's what you're saying, then that sounds like you're assuming your conclusion in the premises. And I think the reason why you're assuming the conclusion is because you think moral realism to be false, or you don't. And the reason why you don't take moral realism to be false is because you haven't been convinced, or there hasn't been any like convincing argument for you.
It's fully true. Yeah, I think that and I understand that like sometimes the burden of proof is sometimes a little bit difficult to like who specifically has it, but I do think that the realists have the burden of proof.
Okay, well, I think we can disagree. I think we can conclude here, though, but it's pretty good talking.
Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah, you have a good day.
Cool. Hello, come on in. How you doing? Let's be kind, by the way. Not the last guy, but the previous. There was a guy who was, let's be nice about this. What's up?
What's up, brother? I hope that you're having a miraculous day. You are miraculous.
I'm having a fantastic day. I haven't done much. I played some Star Wars games. I feel great. What's up?
Okay, so I have 5 different topics for you to choose from. I've been listening to you. Mm-hmm. I'll let you pick one. I'm not just gonna shotgun 5 in a row at you.
Valid. Okay, I'll write them down just to make sure Yeah,
it's okay. The first one is proof. That would be you establishing a baseline for what it means for someone to give you proof beyond a mathematical formula that we describe into existence or just a state of convincing.
Okay.
The second one is, are you a fact? Okay. My favorite one, probably. The third one is the higher language model than math, especially because you're a mathematician.
Yeah. Higher language model than math. Okay, I'm curious in what that means. Go ahead.
Drawing a parallel between color blindness and moral blindness.
Blindness and moral blindness. Okay.
And you personally believe that you can't say a single good word the entire time that we communicate.
I don't know what that last one means. You believe? Sorry.
You believe that.
I believe that? I believe that I cannot say a good thing?
Right. You literally believe, as an anti-realist, that it is impossible for you to say one good thing. You're going to be saying a whole lot of words, but according to you, it's impossible for you to say a good or a bad thing.
Well, subjectively. So I think the good
as a matter of a fact.
Yeah, as a matter of a fact, sure. But for my subjective experience, of course I could say a good or a bad thing.
That would lead us back to, are you a fact?
Yeah, and I don't really know what you mean by it. So let's not do the fifth one because it seems like it just leads into the second one.
Sounds good.
Walk me through
that. Choose from?
Yeah, I will say that higher. You said, "Are you a fact?" I don't really know what that means, but let's do higher language model than math because I'm getting my master's in linguistics right now, so I feel I'm pretty interested in that. But go ahead.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So you know the incompleteness theorem?
Of course, Gödel's. Yeah.
Perfect. So. Things exist but can't be explained by math. I affirm that reality is language.
Sorry. I'm going to already correct you. Sorry. I don't think that's what the incompleteness statement says. I think.
What do you think it's saying?
My interpretation of the incompleteness theorem is that things that are true within that system cannot be proved within that system.
Does that include this system? Because I want to talk about the actual system we exist in.
When you say this system, and again, I know I sound like such an anti-realist.
I don't care. It's okay. No, it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm a linguistic realist or a semantic realist. So I hold the position every single human speaks a different language. This is fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Are you a fan of Wittgenstein? Or do you think...
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. People can't stand talking to me.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know what you mean by this system. Like genuinely, when you say this universe.
What you call the universe, what you call existence, the actualization beyond.
But that's my Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, I don't mean to keep talking over you.
I know what I'm measuring. Remember, all of these are going to go back to number 2.
Okay, then maybe we'll just discuss that one. It doesn't seem like the other 4 are options, but it's it's fine. I get you.
The unfortunate. So here's the thing: me and you are both persons, seemingly, right?
Yeah.
Right. But if you're not a fact, then God's not my imaginary friend. You are.
Yeah. So here's what I would. Okay. I think I'm going to be answering your question, and if I'm not, I apologize. I want to understand your question better. Here's what I think that you're asking. How do we know that we're not solipsistic voids in just a chamber in the matrix, right?
No. No.
Okay, fair. Can I answer that question nonetheless just for the audience, or are you interested or no?
I'm personally interested in you simmering with the question, are you a fact? Because
can you clarify what you mean by that? Yeah.
In accordance with your personal language model, you likely affirm the propositions gravity is a fact and evolution is a fact, right?
Sure, yeah.
Right. So with that language model, if you just add I am a fact and the I there is in reference to Hunter, do you affirm, deny, or remain agnostic to the proposition?
Sure, I would affirm that, but from my own subjective experience, from my own subjective system.
Well, of course. Yeah, I'm asking you. You're a person, of course.
Then yes, yeah, of course. I'm a fact
Okay.
within my own subjective experience, which sounds contradictory, right? That like
But
there's
it's not.
objectivity to my subjectivity.
Yeah, but objective doesn't mean mind independent. It just means like grounded, tautological, grounded in a nature.
What's tautological?
When people say the word objective, most of the time they're saying physical, unless they're just trying to bake in a mind independent identity, which just renders itself to be ultimately incoherent.
I fully agree with that. Yes.
Okay, cool. So you objectively exist
Okay.
as a subject having a subjective experience.
Sure. Can I also clarify something real quick?
Go ahead.
I am sorry. I think when I really say there are no objective ethics, what I'm really referring to is a mind independent ethic. And if that's really not how you define objective, I am curious about that definition, but we might just be agreeing.
Well, let's just go over moral realism, right? Because under moral realism, I'm saying morals are a fact. Goodness
Okay.
and badness is a fact.
Sure.
And if you say that goodness and badness is not a fact, then that takes us back to 5, affirming that according to you, you can't say a good word.
No, but I can say a good word subjective to my own experience, but I can't. Facts are usually when we say facts.
Facts are discoverable, right?
Sure, but only from. So the example that I'm going to give is like, would you consider the Pythagorean theorem a fact?
Yeah.
Okay, but if we just change the axioms around, so we're suddenly in non-Euclidean space, the Pythagorean theorem is no longer true. It fully just depends on the...
I'm a contextualist, and I affirm the proposition that God is context, all capital letters, or capital C. I'm okay either way, as long as there's a capitalization distinction.
I'll be honest, I don't know what you mean. If you clarify that the context specifically matters when we refer to objectives, isn't that just another way to say subjectivity?
Well, so when you say subjective, if all you mean is mind dependent, well, yeah, I think that it's nonsensical for someone to be a theist and to say that something can exist without a mind. Everything is, including God, mind dependent, right? God is the eternal mind. The mind of God can't exist without the mind of God, but God is a fact, the divine nature, the eternal being. So God is the standard of objectivity and subjectivity coexisting with a perfect balance.
I would like you to clarify specifically maybe what you mean by objective, because I think we're working with two different definitions.
Yeah, it's going to be, so most of the time people mean physical, but in reference to God, I don't mean that. That's how people use it colloquially. I use it as fact. I use it as nature. I use it as grounded. I use it as concrete.
Here's actually, I think, the best place to go. You think that moral facts can be discoverable? Yes.
Yep.
Do you agree that, considering yourself as a contextualist, that those are discoverable only with arbitrary axioms that are determined by the party investigating?
So I'm gonna be pedantic, but for an important reason. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
This is specifically pedantic. I think you using the word arbitrary is actually less descriptive, and what you actually mean is personal.
Sure, I'm fine with that. Go ahead.
Okay, that's fine. So if
because
that
I would
do,
sorry, could I really?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to clarify. I really don't mean arbitrary, as in you can literally choose anything.
Yeah, it almost seems like random, like
yeah. And I don't mean random.
Right.
I definitely think that the systems that you choose have to be functional. They have to be useful.
They have to be personal.
But that's the metric. There is no. Sorry, what?
They have to be specifically personal, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I believe I know what you're saying. Yeah.
If the system of knowledge is impersonal, then I don't even know why we would attempt to make sense of it.
Sure. So if you're saying within a specific system that we are choosing for functional reasons, and we can choose other axioms, we can determine moral facts from those state of mind.
We exist in a system of ultimate context where we are allowed to participate in an ultimately unified system of coherency grounded in a nature that is eternal. And through this, through our personal distinctions and privatized language models, are contextualizing an ultimate system of context. But if the moral facts aren't discoverable, then your literal I'm a hyper-literalist. God is our good word, literally. Okay?
Okay.
God is that which is truly factually good.
Okay.
If it is not, go ahead.
Yeah, here's I think the disconnect for me. Can't you just opt out of that? Like, you recognize that that system is a society-wide system that we're all opting into contextually, but aren't there people who just no?
No, I don't care what society says. Truly, like a society. Like, do you see the state that America's in?
Okay. So then I guess my question is, okay. So here's my question. If let's just say there's a sociopath who literally just says it's I'm not a utilitarian. I think personally just that anyone can die. I don't really care.
That would take us to topic number 4. You see how I prepared for this?
Yeah, but it seems like we're just shifting topics. What's topic number 4?
Colorblind and moral blindness.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so we agree that colors exist as a fabric of reality, right? Some people.
No, I would not say that.
Oh, are colors a figment of our imagination?
No, but it's an evolutionary tactic to determine specific wavelengths.
Are colors a fact?
No.
Oh. So
No. Can I clarify what I mean? I know that sounds absurd. But like, let me really clarify what I mean. We could interpret what all it is it's just specific wavelengths that are entering our cornea, and we interpret those as color.
Is that a fact?
Sure.
You just said it's not a fact.
Okay, wait, hold on. Let me just really clarify what I mean, because I feel like you're being pedantic when I'm really just trying to explain specifically.
Now I'm not being being pedantical. Now I'm being semantical.
Okay. That's funny. It's pretty okay. Here's all I mean.
I'm also getting a degree in linguistics.
Sure. Okay. Here's all I mean by that. When I interpret signals, there are, and it's kind of arbitrary. I wouldn't say arbitrary. It's a functional decision that human evolution has made to not view X-rays, to not view gamma rays, to not view all of the other rays on the spectrum of color that exist. And the color is actually just what humans are able to see, because to a lot of animals, X-rays and microwaves are colors.
No worries. That which we can see, is that a fact?
Sure.
So colors are a fact.
Sure, but it's completely, as you would say, it's completely contextual based off of who I am.
Of course, we're contextualizing the appropriate category to ensure that the field of study that we're talking about and measuring is a fact. Because
I understand
what you're saying. It's fictional.
But what I'm saying is, if we evolved so that we can see microwaves, and we would now call microwaves a color, then it feels weird to call colors a fact.
Why?
Because it's completely determinable based off of how our evolution occurred.
You're just saying it's a different category of how we are contextualizing facts. That's it.
Personally, I think that you're using fact in a way that no one uses the word fact. I think very often if you say
how do you think I'm using fact?
Determinable off subjective experience.
No.
And I think
I define a fact. I define a fact. Oh, I could do it in multiple ways because all words are polysemic. I don't know. Probably the most simple one is probably going to be that which remains true, even in the presence of disbelief. But I like coherent, a coherent tautology or a coherent relational tautology.
Okay.
Right.
What do you? Explain. Yeah. How can a tautology be? Okay. I feel like that's a tautology in of itself. Calling it coherent tautology. All tautologies are coherent. No.
Whoa.
Just go ahead. Clarify
like
what you mean. Can you?
We could say on that. I like that.
Can you break down what you mean with a little bit less jargon? Because I do understand what a tautology is. I understand, I do think I'm fairly educated on the subject, but I also feel like you're using fact in a way that maybe other people wouldn't, and maybe that's where I'm getting confusing.
Well, don't worry. I don't think that it's beneficial to analyze how other people use the term. Is that how you use the term?
Yes. Sorry, I use terms how other people use terms. I think that's the Wittgensteinian in me.
Okay, so you don't have a system of personal understanding epistemically. You lack that. You lack a personal language model.
Yes, literally. Sorry, and I'm Wittgenstein. I think that he's 100% correct. I don't believe in private languages. Yes.
Oh, okay. So hang on. Are you just saying that you're borrowing or stealing words and ideas from other people without actually thinking about something yourself?
No, no, that's not what private languages mean. No, it just means that all meaning is constructed through negotiation with other parties. That there is no meaning to a word that only I can understand.
When I say private, I'm saying that it's going to be personal. Okay, so let's look at a tree together. It'll be a different tree. But if it's truly a tree, that which me and you were both looking at, then this entails universals or us playing a language game that has no universal and one of our languages are wrong. It has a wrong meaning. Because the meaning is both, one, that which we are trying to express, and two, that which the referent is.
Okay. I can't feel if I'm too stupid to follow the conversation or if you're talking in such a jargony way that it's making it incoherent.
Which sentence structure confused you?
The one in which we both are looking at a tree. Sorry, we're both looking at a tree and we're calling it a tree.
Right.
What do you mean that it could be wrong?
Yeah, if nominalism is true, then there's not actually a tree there. There's just something that looks like a tree, and we're calling it a tree, but it's not actually a tree. There's no actual real nature of the tree.
Well, insofar that what we called it was arbitrary.
Okay, by arbitrary you mean personal, right?
No, I do not mean personal. I mean that it could have been. We could have.
Is
called
your knowledge
that
personal?
Else. Wait, hold on. We could, not only could we have called that any name, we could have called that bimbo.
That's true.
Okay?
It could be Bob.
That could be a tree, right?
That's fine. We can call it Bob.
And then in that universe, it would be called bimbo. But also, we could have evolved in the case where we don't even see trees; we only see forests.
Yeah, but wait, hang on. No, you're doing the hypothetical thing, right? Right. I see this consistently with the atheists.
Okay.
Instead of studying the actual world, you guys consistently want to draw out hypotheticals about a world that doesn't exist. You're saying
hold on.
You just hang on real quick. You literally just said we could have evolved in a way where trees don't exist, right?
Yes, but I just want to be super
clear. Is that the actual world?
No, but
then I don't care.
Be clear. Okay, let me be clear. I did give a hypothetical where we were. Let's look at eagles. Okay. Is any conditional statement just going to be considered a hypothetical where I don't deal with the real world and therefore can be discarded?
If you're removing facts about the actual world and saying, imagine this fact didn't exist.
I genuinely don't understand how philosophy is possible without engaging in hypotheticals. Like
you're destroying any kind of personal epistemic access to the actual world and pretending like you're saying something of substance.
I'm not destroying any epistemic structure.
You literally just said pretend trees don't exist.
Oh my God. I'm not saying that you have to walk around the tree as if you don't have to walk around the world as if trees don't exist. I'm saying
in the hypothetical, you wanted in this hypothetical, you wanted me to leave the
epistemic substance of a tree. I'm just saying that there are, and by the way, I used real world examples in which an eagle, for example, I don't even know if this is true. I know there are some animals. I would have to look up which animals can see microwaves or can see X-rays, can see different types.
I can see a microwave in my kitchen right now. Sorry, bad joke. I'm trying to lighten the air. You seem stressed out.
Sure. And I can calm it down too. Sorry. I'm not trying to be disrespectful as well. So when we talk about color being arbitrary, what I'm saying is that it depends on the evolutionary process. There are plenty of animals.
Hang on. I have to stop you there.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because you said that colors are arbitrary. Okay.
And when I say arbitrary, I do mean functional, right? But continue.
But not personal. So colors exist in an impersonal way, not as a fact? That doesn't even make sense.
I don't know what that sentence means, genuinely.
Okay, you're saying that color has a function, right? But is the function that which the color is a fact?
Sure. Okay,
cool. So
go
ahead.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
And genuinely, I feel like I'm just getting caught up on the jargon here because I would just
I'm really not even trying to bring out jargon.
No. Sure. I'm just trying to recognize I'm just trying to clarify here that all I'm trying to say is that when we look at colors, that is a construction that evolution has existed. That evolution has created in a sense.
That might be true.
Okay. that evolution has created and could have been in another way. So I don't feel like calling that a fact is helpful.
Oh no, you're doing the could have been different. I'm not interested in
I don't
that,
know
right?
how to engage in hypotheticals.
Think of this. Think of this.
How not to engage in hypotheticals.
Think of this.
I can't say could have.
In a possible world, I could be a tree frog, right?
Uh-huh.
And in this possible world, I hippity hop my way around, and then I lick your eyeball, and I think it's a fly, but it's not a fly. Do you really want to talk about the hypothetical world where I'm a tree frog?
If they're useful, I don't think the frog analogy was very useful.
Why?
Well, because I don't think you brought anything of substance to the table.
Right.
I don't think I learned anything.
And I think that when we're talking about an honest experience of consciousness as a matter of a fact, and I say, hey man, can you see this tree? And you say, yeah, but...
Wait, hold on. I didn't say that. But I didn't say there's a tree.
No, I'm saying...
You live in a hypothetical where we're looking at a tree together.
I'm living in a hypothetical where me and you can both see trees. Well, I don't feel
like hypotheticals are helpful. I really don't. I think that hypotheticals really...
Sounds good.
No. I'm not trying to steamroll you. I'm just trying to point out that it feels kind of arbitrary when you're choosing what hypotheticals are, and maybe it is a way to steamroll me. And I don't find that. Yeah,
I'm not trying to steamroll you. I'm really not. At this point, I'm attempting to whisper. So, in my hypothetical, I was trying to illuminate that me and you exist in a place, a sphere, a realm, a plane of existence where me and you have both seen a tree. Right?
Yes. I agree with you.
Okay, so in this reality, me and you, when we're looking at a tree and we're saying this is a tree, if it's two different trees, there's an entailment linguistically that we're saying that there's a universal, something that is identical in these two distinct things.
Sure, but I want to be super clear here. And really when it comes to categorizing any object, they don't have to entail any features. There is no,
Remember before how you asked me how...
Wait, can I give an example?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll give an example. You can point to a sandwich, okay? Just a normal BLT. I know this is hypothetical. I know.
I'm a vegetarian.
Grip your. Okay, well, it's a vegan sandwich.
Thank you.
It's a fake tuna sandwich. I don't know what fake.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate the effort.
Okay, yeah, it's a vegan sandwich. You can point to that, and I could point to in physics class in junior high school. I sat two people away. There was someone called Hunter, and then there was a person between. And my teacher always called us the Hunter sandwich. Those shared no characteristics between each other.
Yeah, they do.
An aesthetic one because it's two things between one thing.
You solved it yourself. Yeah, what you just did.
Sure.
What you just did right there, you just became an aesthetic realist in real time.
No, but it's not.
Real quick, this is really important. I think this is really important.
Okay.
So in your own hypothetical, you just realized you're an aesthetic realist.
No, because
with the example of a sandwich, and if you're an aesthetic realist, then you're an objective realist because the aesthetic, which is real, is beautiful coherency.
No. Because here's the thing: I can put on these headphones, and I made a sandwich, a headphone sandwich. No one would ever call it a sandwich, though. So the idea that it's just like the distinction. What do you mean?
Hang on, wait. No, that's confused. Even if nobody calls something, is it still what it is?
Absolutely not. Sorry to be the Wittgensteinian here.
Wait, hang on, just to clarify.
Yeah.
A rose is only a rose because we call it a rose?
Certainly, yeah.
So if I call a rose a different name, does it smell different?
No, it doesn't smell different, no.
What's different besides that which I'm calling it?
What? Maybe we're talking past each other. I don't know what else you could be referring to. Other than like what we're calling it. Like what the ontological realism
because that which is the referent itself.
I totally understand. But can we look at something maybe abstract, like a category?
We just did, sandwich.
Totally. Okay. Now what determines what is part of the category sandwich?
What determines it? Well, yes. One, discoverability. 2, knowability. 3,
hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just the first one, discoverability. How could you discover it? Couldn't if I described an alien?
How can I?
Yes.
Well, if aliens exist and you're capable of discovering them, right, then you would have the ability to discover them. That's tautologically true. But the question is,
let me.
here's
Here's a better question.
wait, instead of the alien, do you possess the property of discoverability?
I don't know what this. I would probably say. Okay, here. Can I reframe this question because I don't feel like this is a helpful way to go.
I hope you know that I'm really not trying to steamroll you.
No. I think you're being kind. You're being respectful. I do think that you are arguing in a way that is a little bit incoherent and hard for me to follow, and I think that it's very difficult to parse specifically what you mean.
That's what happens when you affirm that there are no objective ethics. By the way, that's rhetorical. I'm sorry. Forgive me for that one.
No, that's fine. Okay, let me break this down. Let me break this down differently. Okay, you're saying that the what is determined to be a sandwich is discoverable. That we can just discover this, and it's not based off.
Well, that's one of the properties. That's one.
Sure. But what it definitely isn't is just what society agrees a sandwich is. Yes.
Yeah, I don't give a shit about that.
Okay, awesome. Here's a question then. You conceded that the people in...
hang on, pause. I didn't concede anything.
I believe you did.
What did I concede
You agreed with me.
I understand a concession. Okay.
You agreed with me.
Okay, agreeing is distinct from conceding. I'm okay with agreeing.
Okay. You agreed that two people in between, if someone is two to the right to me, that's a hunter sandwich, yes?
That could be a sandwich, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Here's the thing. Yeah. If we look at Merriam-Webster's, 40 years ago, that was not the definition of a sandwich.
I don't care.
Why does that not matter to you?
Because it doesn't.
Here's my question.
That's just you're just. Hang on.
To what authority?
Okay. I can explain why.
Yeah.
There is a distinct truth value contextually in how sandwich was defined 60 years ago in comparison to what's happening now.
Okay.
The data points that you continuously look at continue to be that which are impersonal. But when I'm asking you for your understanding, your theory of truth, I think that you agreed with me that knowledge is personal, right?
Knowledge is personal.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would. Maybe you'd have to flesh out what that means.
If knowledge is not personal, then how can you claim to personally know anything?
Wait, hold on. I asked you what that meant, and then you were just like, well, if that couldn't happen, then how it's like...
Well, personal is going to be that which is self-referential in the presence of a mind.
Okay, wait. Personal is going to be self-referential in that I'm constructing something in my mind and then asserting it in my mind. I don't know what you mean by self-referential.
Yeah, you have a mind.
Yeah.
You have or are the mind. Mm-hmm. I don't really care about that language structure. Yeah. And through that, the mind is hopefully coherently contextualizing through a language model of understanding that which you are experiencing through a system of honesty, deception, or lies.
Sure, but right. what I determine to be true is socially determined.
Well, if what you mean by if you're just asking me, are humans prone to being socially conditioned?
No,
that's true.
It's not what I mean at all. Let me clarify this.
Do you know?
Here's my question.
Do you know anything besides social conditioning?
Do I know anything other than social conditioning?
Right. If not, then you're affirming that you've been indoctrinated at the highest degree possible.
No, but couldn't I claim that all knowledge that I have has been given, or a reconstruction of something?
Yeah, but none of it is personal.
Something that has been given.
None of it is personal to you.
Okay.
It's an indoctrination system that you've memorized.
Couldn't I restructure it in a way that is somewhat unique?
That's what I've been telling you that you should do this entire conversation. That's the privatized personal language model that you reject. Yep. Okay. You're there. Here's my. You should do that right now. Yep.
Okay. Wait. Hold on. Let me. Here's the question. When it comes to categories being, because I would probably assert the categories could be largely arbitrary or are socially determined, are fully socially determined.
I thought you just said no to that. Did you not just say no to that?
No, categories are socially determined. That's been my case. I think that I took a lens that you're like that seems to mean that you think that categories are not socially determined. But no, categories are 100% socially determined.
Okay. Let's analyze that. Okay.
Yes.
According to you, every single epistemic system is nothing more than a social indoctrination model.
I would never use that terminology because I think that is
sure,
that's
yeah,
that's a causally loaded. Yeah, it's a very loaded term.
It's inflammatory, but is it true?
No, because I reject the inflammatory nature of it.
That's fine.
Because I think that you're loading the language. Yeah, go ahead.
You could dislike that there's negative connotations with the speech, but truth isn't here to coddle you and make you feel bubbly, right?
Sorry. No. But when you assert something, like you have to recognize, or maybe you don't have to recognize, I'm not going to tell you what to do, that I can say facts.
You should definitely.
For example,
by the way.
I could, maybe, hold on, let me use a TOS example.
I'll just say it, man. Say it with your chest.
No, but the thing is, I'm going to say a truth that could get being banned off of TikTok because of the implication, because of the loading language of it.
Fuck it. Oh, here, wait. I'll give you my example. I'll risk getting banned.
Okay.
Okay, nice. Do you affirm the proposition that stabbing babies is wrong as a fact?
You keep saying as a fact. Would I say that stabbing babies is wrong? Yes.
Always?
Yes.
Okay. So sorry for the rhetoric again. You should have seen it coming. So you're
going to give a hypothetical in which,
sorry.
You're going to give a hypothetical, like Sophie's Choice or something like that.
So you're against vaccinations?
No, I wouldn't consider that stabbing at all.
Just to clarify, you're telling me if I walked up to you in the middle of the street and put a needle in your neck, you would say, officer,
Sure. And then I can add some caveats to really clarify what we mean by stabbing.
Because in the hypothetical, were you stabbed?
Yes, but there is
So
sure.
So vaccinations, putting a needle in someone is a form of stabbing.
I would probably say stabbing is probably a non-consensual act. That's usually how we use it.
Sure. Now I like this. Now you're thinking for yourself.
Now I'm thinking in a contextual manner that's subjective to it's a realization of the societal expectations when we use language. That's what I'm doing.
Now it comes down to, but you just said that you would define stabbing as something necessarily non-consensual, and then the question becomes, why should anybody accept that?
Because everyone does. I'm referring to other people. Because
let's test this. Let's test this. Okay, 72 people in here. Chat, we'll just do you think that stabbing is something that is necessarily intentional, or can you be stabbed unintentionally?
No. That is not what I said, though. I didn't say intentional. I said consensual.
Consensual?
It doesn't mean that I want to be stabbed.
No, you don't want to say that. Babies don't consent to vaccinations, right?
But I'm consenting for my child.
Okay.
Come on, wait, hold on. And really this gets at a form of pedanticism that I really hate, where we're looking at language rather than a cluster of categories, but we're looking at a list of this needs to match and this needs to match and this like a checklist of necessary and sufficient components.
The context of words that are personally expressed should be epistemically consistent within a private language model. And that's the logical system in question here.
Are you familiar? Wait,
ahead.
hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because this is something I'm very familiar with. Are you familiar with the logical positivist who essentially believes it? Would you consider yourself a logical positivist?
I don't know what that is.
Okay. There were thinkers like Russell, Frege, and the first half of his life, Wittgenstein, who basically just said, this is how we build a language. You just take necessary and sufficient components, and then you can just determine what specific...
Sorry? Right there. You just said necessary components. Do you believe in necessary components?
No, I don't. I think that it's a completely wrong way to look at language. It's not how human beings use language at all.
Does language have any rules?
That are rules as in fixed 100% guidelines that can only be necessary or sufficiently conditioned? No.
Are there any factual rules about language according to you?
Absolutely not.
Oh my God.
No, because no. That's not the fuck what I mean at all. No, because socially, we have no idea what that means. Socially, I don't know what you're talking about.
You see what I'm saying, though? Listen.
No, wait, no, wait, hold on. Can I give some examples? You would probably...
Hang on, can I reply?
Yeah.
That's a reductio, because if there's no rules...
No, it's not. It's a completely... No. That's a straw man of what I'm saying. I would never clarify that that's what I mean when I say that things are arbitrary.
If there's no rule, okay, think of
No.
this.
Hold on. Hold on.
Are me and you
We're still
supposed
bound
to
in some way. We're still bound in some way. But it's not by.
Wait. Nice. Let's lock in right there. You said bound.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we are bound by social constraints.
No worries. When you say bound, is that going to be a boundary, which is the limitations of an activity, which includes but not limits in isolation language?
Okay, I think you're being super pedantic here. Let me just really clarify what I mean when I say boundary.
What?
Why are you frustrated? I think I'm being fair.
That wasn't pedantic.
Okay. Look, here's all I'm saying. We would probably assert that if I mishear a nickname, that phrase, a nickname. Oh, a nickname for Joseph is Joe, and I mishear that as an nickname. Okay, we would probably say that's wrong, right? That's like false.
What?
Yeah. Where did I
Wrong? How are we defining wrong?
What else would you call didn't you say linguistics is like a set of facts of necessary and sufficient conditions bound by rules?
I would say in the example that you just gave me, there's a misunderstanding. So if by wrong you mean there was a personal misunderstanding.
Okay, wait, hold on. That's all I mean by wrong. Maybe you can assert what you mean by wrong.
I'm the one who just defined it, so.
No. When you say wrong, I'm only meaning a misunderstanding. So when you speak gobbledygook, you're being misunderstood because I can't understand anything that you're saying, which makes it wrong.
Right.
That's the only metric.
Nice. So is a normative rule for language coherency and understanding?
Understanding, yes. I would say both. Yes.
Nice. So did we just discover 2 factual rules about language?
Okay, if we can agree on that all language is communication, so in order to communicate you need to be understood, then sure, we are bound by understanding. But I just want to be clear here.
Right. So as a fact?
As a fact.
.com.
Oh, that's your name, isn't it? Fact.
Yeah.
I see.
I realized I realized a couple months ago that atheists aren't comfortable affirming that they're a fact. They're more comfortable affirming impersonal things like gravity and evolution. But then when they take a step back and they realize how uncomfortable they are affirming the proposition, I am a fact, I think that increases their self-awareness if they take it seriously.
Why? Okay, so a couple things.
Yeah.
A couple things. Genuinely, and I know I really am just trying to interrogate how you specifically mean something. What do you mean by fact?
We already went over that.
I'm confused because when you say the language is constrained by okay, here's really what I mean. Wait. I think I got it. When I say language, what I really mean is communication between two different people. So when you say is language bound by communication, by understanding or cooperation? I would say yes, but necessarily so. In that it's a tautological statement. It's defined in its definition. When we say a triangle has 3 sides, well, can you find a triangle without 3 sides? No, necessarily. That's a fact of the world, but only based off of the definition that we ourselves have just set up.
Well, that's if you're a mathematical anti-realist, right?
Which I am. Yeah, I'm an anti-realist linguistically, mathematically, and ethically. Yes.
Okay.
Mathematically is the easiest one to push because we have other systems that we use very often.
Okay.
Do we use naive set theory, or do we use UFC? Do we want to use Euclidean geometry or non-Euclidean geometry? There's hyperbolic. There's
different models of language, so you could use any of those. And then what you would.
When you say a model of language, what do you mean?
A distinct model is going to be
subject, verb, object. Is that what you're referring to, or
it could be subject and object. It could be 2 different formal systems. It could be 2 people talking to each other. Do you agree that some communication is not verbal? Well, maybe most.
Sure.
Animal.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I've heard that assertion that 90% of communication is nonverbal. I don't know if I believe it, but okay, maybe.
Probably not with humans. We talk too much.
Yeah, I agree.
The relationship between plants and the sun, is that a language?
No, I probably wouldn't say so.
Oh, they're not communicating?
No, I don't think the sun is communicating with the flowers and the flowers to the sun. I don't think.
How are we defining communicating or communication?
And here's the tricky part: how people use it. how
asking
people
you.
use it. No. And I think that people just wouldn't say that plants are communicating with the sun, that feels, and sorry to be the Wittgensteinian, that really all definitions and categories are socially determined. I would poll everyone else, and I would say most people wouldn't say that plants are communicating with the sun. Therefore, they're not communicating with the sun.
Is it possible the reason that they are affirming that is because they live in an indoctrinated society where they are describing communication in a lackluster manner that actually does the opposite of corresponding to reality?
Could it be? Well, no, because I don't believe that there is such thing as a reality, like a capital R
there it is.
reality other than, yeah, and I said I'm an anti-realist.
Okay, so just to clarify, maybe we should have skipped everything. You deny reality outright, right?
Wait, hold on. I deny a capital R reality that can be contested and provable. There are certain axioms that we have to accept in order to develop our sense of reality that we cannot and do not question.
Right, but are me and you ontologically unified by something? Sorry, that's just the being, a thing. Is there I can...
I know what ontological means, but that question still doesn't. I know that ontological is about the sense of being. That there's
know that you would have to say no to that, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know what you mean by that.
Are me and you, is everything which is in a state which is real, true, or fact unified by something that you truly believe in?
Unified by something. Like, and I'm really. It does feel a little word sloppy. I'm like, it feels like you're vomiting.
Brother, don't read you don't have to read the comments. Try to think with me, okay?
I'm not seeing that in there. Backed up with more validation, though I am seeing that. But only now. I said that afterward.
Are me and you connected by something real?
I don't know what you. Probably not. I would probably say, based off of what I think you mean, no. But I genuinely don't know what you're referring to when you say real.
Apply it to your language model. In your language model, instead of constantly relying on me...
No.
You're relying on me?
I would say assertively not. I would say assertively not, because in most circles, that phrase, is there something in between us that is real, is incomprehensible.
Okay, so me and you are not connected by existence or the universe or reality, right?
Connected by existence?
Right.
Like, as in we both exist? And
let's just do universe. You're more familiar with the word universe. Are me and you ontologically participating with the unification of the universe, or that which is the universe?
You throw in unification and maybe I got a little bit lost.
No worries, connected. Connected.
Are we connected to the universe, as in... Sure. Are we both sustained by the universe? Unquestionably, yeah.
Okay, cool. So there is a real metaphysical ontological unity between me and you.
You keep saying real, metaphysical, and ontological, which is something I have consistently denied.
Brother, when I say real, I'm trying to bake in that you're not just playing with words, and that what you're saying are things you actually believe beyond like LARPing for attention in a political sphere.
Wait, hold on. Okay, let me really clarify what I mean. Specifically, when I say that I'm an anti-realness. Okay, yeah. All I'm saying is there are certain axioms that I have to accept in order to logically deduce anything, and those axioms have to lead towards a helpful system. Now, those axioms can be arbitrary. Because there is a consistent world in which I choose different axioms, and
what does arbitrary mean here?
I mean that a psychopath could just say, I don't care about human beings, and there's nothing logically... Wait, hold on. There's nothing logically inconsistent. Okay, when I say arbitrary, I mean you could choose a different axiom and have a logically coherent and consistent system.
No, I didn't get that.
Okay, axioms aren't proven, right? They're at the very top of our logical epistemic foundation.
Well, hang on. What do you mean by prove? By the way, that takes us to category number 1.
I erased the categories because sorry, I don't remember which one category 1 is. Okay, let me just try to assert what I mean.
Oh, the first category is defining proof, because it seems like a weaponized word people use for political and religious attention, and it either reduces down to math or it comes down to convince me, please.
Yes, I agree with you. That is what I mean by proof. I mean convince me, please. Yes.
I'm happy to define things. So, okay.
Right.
When you say it's, just to clarify, when you say that realism isn't provable, you're saying epistemically it's impossible to convince you.
No, I'm saying I have not been convinced yet. I think that I'm open to the idea. I think that I'm not locked into the idea that there are no objective ethics, but I haven't heard a sufficient proof.
How about this? In terms of objective ethics, is it a fact of the matter that you ought to ever communicate with anybody another moment of your life?
Okay, wait, hold on. I think I got mixed up in the double negative there. I'm gonna answer.
Ought you continue to communicate ever again?
Sure, yeah. But that ought presupposes subjectivity.
Is that a factual claim?
No, because it presupposes subjectivity. You said ought. I think you're mixing up the is and the ought.
Okay, I'm asking you, if I'm looking to discover facts and you're looking to discover a fact about whether or not you should communicate, is that a discoverable fact?
No.
Okay, so then why do you communicate if you can't determine whether or not you should communicate?
Because I don't think the burden of proof of whether or not I should communicate is to prove that I can never communicate. That doesn't even that's completely incoherent.
Should rational beings have a reason for communicating?
Should rational beings have a reason to communicate? Yes, I would say certainly yes. There's evolutionary mechanisms that are
nice. Those evolutionary mechanisms, are those facts?
Oh, I don't know what you mean by that. And I know we keep going back to, you keep saying facts, and I genuinely
know,
don't
brother.
know what you mean by that.
The word fact is almost like a kryptonite to y'all.
No, because it's incoherent. I don't know what you mean by it. Now, if you want to say, look, all I mean by fact is something that we can all agree upon, and for the large majority of society, agree upon.
Okay, just to clarify. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In Islamic countries with Sharia law, where the age of majority or adulthood is, 15. Do you think that it's a fact that some 15-year-olds are adults?
Do I think that it's a fact? No, because I can't escape my own subjectivity.
But that's the social consensus of their model.
Correct, but I can't escape my subjectivity. So when I'm answering my subjective experience would say certainly not.
Okay, so the only facts you'll accept are that which you've been socially conditioned to believe?
Or the ones that are accessible to me, of course.
Well, okay, of course. Is it accessible? Wait. Is it accessible for you under an evolutionary model to be able to make a factual ought claim about your personal communication?
Okay, you keep saying factual ought, and that feels like a juxtaposition. That feels like an oxymoron.
Remember, you affirmed earlier you objectively exist, right?
I don't think okay, wait, hold on. I think we keep equivocating objectivity and facts because you keep throwing in this is-ought distinction. Now, I would clarify, I actually have no proof. I have no way to actually factually know if
are objective things not facts?
Okay, great. We'll
No, I'm asking you.
Make them equivalent.
Do we disagree?
I don't know. Just tell no. Just tell me how you define it, and then I'll use your definition. I'm
gonna be honest, brother. I'm gonna be honest with you. I have 4 times.
Okay. So here's my question. Here's what I'm asserting. There is no way for me to prove that I'm not a brain in a vat. Now I move through the world as if I'm not because I accept it. That's just something that I don't.
Hang on, but by prove there, you just mean convince you. So you're saying you're not convinced that you're not a brain in a vat living in isolation?
I think, just to be super clear here, when we use, have you ever used like logical notation or like analytical philosophy, like the way to track arguments?
I think so. I don't know.
With an emphasis, yeah, like there are ways that you can prove like specific fallacies or use whatever. I have never seen a non-fallacious argument asserting that I am not a brain in a vat.
So are you affirming that you're a solipsist?
No. I'm saying I choose as an axiom that I exist, and then I walk around the world and I go, okay, I'm not going to think about it. Yeah, that might be true. I don't fucking care. I'm going to accept without any assertion, without any proof.
So are you saying that you have faith that solipsism is false?
Faith, I would not use that term, but I would say that I accept as an axiom unconditionally.
What's the distinction in your language model between an axiom right now and faith?
If the determination between me is that oftentimes faith is a religious manner, and I don't want to smuggle in that connotation.
What do you mean by religious?
I think faith is a very religiously loaded term. Is that crazy to say?
No, I don't know what you mean by religious. I think that some scientists become physical,
this feels like the Jordan Peterson thing, where like we can't even settle on like.
I thought you were getting a master's degree in language. You should love this.
I am. Wait, hold on. No. I do not love this.
You might want to change your degree.
I do not love this. I do not love this. I believe in Grice's cooperation policy or principle, where we all fucking agree on how words move forward, and then we can move forward together. But when we have this constant friction where we can't cooperate on basic ideas of how words work, where I say faith is probably a religiously loaded term, and you go, what? What do you mean by religious?
And your presupposition is that you just want people to accept the meaning of your word given the social indoctrination model. And I'm saying,
hold on,
no.
What the fuck? Hold on. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Live will end in 5 minutes. We've detected inactivity, but now it's going.
No, it's okay. Yeah, it's inconsistent.
Okay.
Go
ahead. Sorry.
So you want there to be this like get out of jail free card where instead of expressing what you personally believe, so the religious people, more often than not, they're literally worshiping literacy, okay? From the church fathers to the imams to whoever.
They're worshiping literacy?
Yeah, I think they literally worship literacy, yeah. And
wait, do you mean like, literature like is in the Bible? Or literacy is in the ability to read?
The ability to read, and that which they're reading, both, yeah.
I don't know what you mean by the religion people worship literacy. That feels, I don't know what you mean by that.
I think that they literally worship the book they're reading.
Okay, sure.
Okay, yeah, and I'm saying that when I'm talking to you, I'm asking you, what does this mean? Because I think that you risk worshiping science or physicalism, and you want me to just grant you the social consensus instead of asking if the social consensus is wrong. So
here's my question. No, and here's all I'm asserting. What else is there? Like on an ontological sense, like I don't know when you're like, well, here's the specific authority that I appeal to. I don't know what authority you can appeal to other than social consensus, other than things like scientism. Go ahead.
Do you ever appeal to your ability to think for yourself?
Do I appeal to my ability to speak for myself?
Think. I mean, speak is fine too.
Sorry. Did I say speak? I meant think. Sorry.
That's okay.
Do I appeal to that? I don't know what you mean by that. Like, could I disagree with experts? Sure.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I've been asking you in this conversation. But can you think for yourself with a language model that you've actually flushed out beyond just what society tells you to think? But it seems like you're just continuously telling people believe
Well, sorry, that's only because what I'm seeing is inconsistent, right? Because I have a degree in analytic philosophy where I've got sorry, where was I going with this?
Well, you're always going to have some kind of inconsistency because you're not all knowing, right? You have to have the ability to contextualize your personal experience.
Wait, sorry. I remember where I was going. Okay, sorry. So all I'm saying is that I can learn like rules of like basic logic of how to structure an argument, and then I can look at a paper and go, well, that doesn't feel very argumentative. That actually feels like maybe they're making some error in terms of graphs, and I may be able to disagree with that science or that expert. But I would also probably say that that's a virtue of science rather than a rejection of science. That science is in itself self-correcting. That you can peer review different papers to counter previous papers. So like in a sense, do I worship science? Sure, but I don't think that science rejects the individual rather than it accepts it.
Right, and science is the ability to update words too, right? To make them more accurate to correspond with reality.
Is the ability to update words. I don't know what you mean by that. I would probably reject
science updates. When science updates, are words being updated?
When science updates, are words being updated? Usually not.
Okay, so when doctors were promoting that cigarettes are healthy, did the definition of cigarette change or the definition of healthy?
I think that we learned a new connection between these two words, and then both of them got updated. Sure.
Does a change occur?
No. But wait, hold on. It depends on the update. Like if it filters down to the social consciousness. Like I bet that there's a math paper out there that did not update how people use words at all.
Well, math is just a language that we described into existence, which is true by definition, right?
Right, but my issue is when you say a word is updated.
But if your standard of truth is that which is always true by definition, created by humans,
yes.
Then wouldn't you? Okay, is math to mathematicians their imaginary friend? And
yes, they are arbitrarily decided by axioms. It's what I've said a bunch of times. When we look at Euclidean, when we look at, like, for example, most people assert 2 + 2 = 4 is a fact. It is a truth stapled onto the universe. But I've studied abstract algebra. Absolutely, you can have a modular 2 system a modular 4 system in which 2 + 2 = 0. And that's actually fully coherent. It's totally completely based off of the axioms that we're choosing.
By axioms,
as long as they are consistent. No, I mean literal. I don't know a different way to name I can define what an axiom is. An axiom is a very clear presupposition in your mathematical system.
Clear to who? Clear to the person creating it?
I don't even understand that question. Do you know what an axiom is? Have you ever heard that within a mathematical system?
I understand axioms to be that which is self-evident.
So I'll give an example of an axiom. Okay, so there's a really famous one called Euclid. It's technically called a postulate, but it's basically whatever. I'm not going to get into the distinction. There's a parallel postulate, and all he asserts is that within one line and one dot above that line, there is only one line that is parallel to the previous line. I know that was a little jumbled, but it's basically the idea of parallelism, that there are only two, that a unique line that crosses one line is unique to the other line.
I apologize.
Now wait, hold on. That is completely arbitrary, and there are other systems that have no parallel lines.
Okay.
There are elliptic systems.
I think this is really important. Every single time by the way, I'm filling up water. I'm not going to the bathroom. Every
I
single.
wouldn't really care if you did, but maybe the live would. So
that would be
probably good to assert anyway.
Yeah, no worries. Are you explaining every single time you are explaining math to me? You're telling me about your imaginary friends?
When you say imaginary friends, sure, I find it a useful and coherent system that I find helpful.
All right, man.
Yeah, like genuinely. And when I think that anyone who pretty seriously and rigorously studies math recognizes that there are other valid systems that you can use. In fact, naive set theory isn't even consistent and people still use it. It doesn't even need to be consistent. So Russell proved that it was false.
Would you say that as a mathematician that the disbelievers should stop telling believers that they have an imaginary friend because mathematicians have an infinite amount of imaginary friends?
I think that imaginary friend smuggles in connotation that I would reject.
Yeah, the negative
namely
connotation.
That it's unhelpful.
Yeah, no, the connotation is there.
And that it's not consistent with the rest of society's reality.
Real quick. The negative connotation comes from the disbelievers mocking and berating and belittling the believers.
Sure.
Okay. Would you tell disbelievers that they have more imaginary friends than the theists?
Sorry, I'm largely an agnostic. I could probably call myself theologically.
Yeah, no, I'm asking, would you tell the disbelievers who say that theists have an imaginary friend?
Okay.
Yeah. If they believe in math, that they have more imaginary friends than the theists?
In fact, yes. I actually probably would, because I think that it's perfectly fine to accept as an axiom that God exists. I think that that's fine. I think that there's something completely coherent with the system. I think it's perfectly consistent, and it largely leads you to be a better person. So if someone goes, actually, don't you know that anything is true? I think that it's fair to say, look, we accept a bunch of shit without properly proving it, and maybe we should just, maybe be a little bit kinder to each other. We're all making this shit up.
Okay. Now, why
Absolutely.
Math is still going to be...
It was a good question. It was a good question.
Math is still going to be... we'll see if we can get through this. Math is still a factual system which consistently accords to reference, right?
No, absolutely not. It doesn't
Oh my
it
God.
doesn't refer to anything. There are abstract symbols that don't refer to anything.
Are you a mathematician telling me
Yes.
that numbers refer to nothing?
Yes, I am. They're arbitrary systems. That's what axioms are. They can map onto anything. That's what it's. They're all variables. When I say two, those could be two cars. That could be two cameras. I can map them onto
they're
any subset of reality.
Right, but but the specific context and categories with the numbers are the reference.
The specific numbers and categories are the reference. Then it seems like it's tautological. It's just mapping onto itself.
Right, that's how I define fact 4 times.
Okay.
A coherent tautology.
Okay, but then okay? But it seems like you've smuggled in a definition of fact that renders everything a fact. That I don't think that most people would. I think that most people would get
Now
confused.
you're getting it.
Okay, yeah, I agree. I think that you're smuggling in a definition of fact such that everything becomes a fact, such that like even people's opinions are facts because they map onto itself just well.
If that's true, then you would be agreeing with me that
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
You-
I think
you'd be-
that you
you'd
are
be
using.
agree- Go ahead.
I think you're using a perfectly consistent set of beliefs. When you define facts in the way that you are, it is perfectly consistent. However, it doesn't map onto the rest of society. The rest of society uses fact in a very different manner in which you are. So I find it a little bit incoherent.
which explains reality at a higher level that allows for
I think mine
relative
does.
identity. Does yours account for absolute, ultimate, unified, universal?
No, but I don't think we find that in reality.
Hang on. Is the claim of the universe not ontological unity?
Is the claim of the universe not ontological unity? You said ontological unity?
Yeah, connection, that which sustains us. You know, you can
I
flesh out
think-
what you think the universe. Oh, like
Tautologically,
How,
we
how
can-
about this?
we just
How about this? Are you a realist about the universe?
No,
Or
I'm a
is-
realist about nothing.
Hang on. You're
Yes.
not. Are you a realist
mean-
about your? Hang on. Are you a realist about your own identity?
Like I've said, I could be a brain in a vat. There's no way to prove it. Now, I accept without assertion, simply as an axiom, that I'm going to walk around the world as if I don't. Because it's more helpful. It leads to happiness. It leads to me having children, and that
But you're just,
makes
brother,
me.
you're just saying, okay, under this model, okay, you're
Yeah.
saying the social model that you're promoting has.
I don't know if
led
I'm
you-
promoting this, by the way. I don't know. I don't know because wait, hold on.
I'm gonna
hold
let you
on.
know
If
you
this-
are promoting it.
If this, well, first off, I don't know if I'm convincing anyone, but regardless,
Well, promoting
if
is
this leads
distinct
to
from convincing.
if this leads to solipsism, I flatly denounce it. I think it is better to believe in the subjective ethics than solipsism.
Right, but your escape from solipsism is affirming social consensus even while acknowledging that you are pretending that anything is real.
Yes. And if subjectivity is more accessible to you than
would you
that
say-
framework,
would you say
I
that-
would
would you-
suggest you believe in objective ethics.
Would
If
you
like
say that
Platonism-
your
Go ahead,
would
sorry.
you say that your personal epistemology is consistently pretending?
Sure, in the way that you probably use those terms, sure. I would never. That's not how I refer to it as myself. Of course not.
Okay. When you're referring to yourself, are you pretending that real things exist?
Am I pretending?
Like right
Sure.
now in this
Yeah.
like
A good example is I pretend like I have 5 fingers when in all reality these are made up of atoms that aren't even fucking connected to each other.
are atoms real?
Again, those are just made up of quarks on the really all it is just energy. Energy is really just all I'm saying is wait.
This is really important.
We can,
I think this is
no.
important.
I'm going to say this.
Okay.
Sorry. We can break this up into any different categories that we want, and how we choose is just determined on what is useful. I don't think it's very useful to just look at my hand and go, oh well, this is comprised of a bunch of atoms. I think it's much more useful to go, this is a hand, therefore I can drink my coffee and move around in the world better.
I lost my train of thought. Oh, do you remember at the beginning of the conversation, I told you that you can't
not,
say
actually.
a single good word?
Oh yeah.
I'm going to add something to that. You
Yeah.
believe not only you can't say a good word, but you can't say a real word.
On in a fact of the matter, in a provable sense, of course not. But what I will assert is that through my subjective experience, of course I am. In the way that everyone understands that word, of course I am.
But hang on, but proof has now been destroyed because I gave you two categories, mathematical proof, but math isn't real to you, so it can't be proof unless you're using something
no. Because
not real.
When we say the word proof, I'm accessing that system in which proofs exist.
You're just baking in that the system of proof necessarily entails math, which isn't a real system that corresponds with reality. How's that proof?
It's still useful. I can still use it.
Holy, this is the problem with people saying the word proof. You don't believe in proof.
No, I do believe in
the word.
Wait. What do you mean I don't believe in proofs?
Well, what is proof to you besides being convinced?
I think that there are mathematical presuppositions that you can add, maybe logical additions. There are specific.
That system's not real. You're not telling me a real system.
No, but it's useful. I can still use it.
Is proof a real system?
Is proof a real system? You keep saying real, and I'm going to, if you put real into the sentence, I'm going to say no.
I'll be honest with you. I changed the word fact for real, and it didn't help at all.
I agree, because 100%.
Okay, is math a factual system? No, right?
Is math a factual system? No. No, but it is a useful system.
Is math a real system?
No, but it is a useful system. I do have it. Well, actually, I technically don't have my degree in mathematics yet, but I'm a senior.
Useful. I wish you nothing but the best. By the way, if you want to, I want to pause real quick. You, brother, are one of the best hosts on this app, and I mean this with sincerity.
Really? Okay. Why?
Yes, I'm because you didn't mute me a single time. You didn't kick me. You allowed us to go back and forth. You held your own, even though I think it reduced down to absurdity. But in this conversation, right, which is emotional for everybody in attendance and us, right? We were able to go up and down, allow it to fluctuate. What you allowed for the 100 people in here to witness is a conversation that, right? And that basically doesn't happen on this app. I
fully agree with you.
Most people, they're just rage baiting, or they're in an echo chamber, or they're doing the battles for money. You've created a space that allows for real communication, and I think you deserve a standing ovation.
Well, thank you. I do appreciate that,
and I think that's real, by the way.
No, I do think that you're being very earnest when you say that, and I do also want to say that I think that there are a lot of debates on this app in which people are just I'm not going to name any names, but like I feel like people are really just trying to assert their in-group preferences onto other people. Yeah, go ahead.
And with your model, you're enabling them. Some of them came in here, and what they do, they recognize that language can be useful, but the language isn't self-referential. So they're making claims that appear to be knowledge claims, but the knowledge claims don't come from them. It comes from somebody who they read, and they have the ability to understand language models that they themselves don't believe are real, to argue or become a politician, or to make money. And that's what you're promoting. If my worldview is false, right, then your worldview is literally, this entire experience is a useful game of pretend.
No, in fact, I would probably assert the other.
In what? In what? Hang on, brother. In what?
No. But I'm using it in the colloquial sense, in the way that I'm using every word.
Nah, brother, we're making progress. There we go.
There we go. All right. Here's all I'm going to say. Here's really what I mean. Okay. My system, because it's necessitated out of social cohesion and social communication, one of the biggest hallmarks of linguistics is something called negotiation, wherein you use a word and it seems a little bit off, and another person uses a word, and everyone else kind of uses a word in a different way. And then because they're communicating within each other, it gets reified into this into a very concrete idea of what a word means through social connection. So in fact, the way that I view the world necessitates communication and necessitates negotiation. I think that echo chambers are the worst form of communication on this app because it doesn't allow for negotiation for other members.
Right. Yeah, because there shouldn't be a monopoly on language.
Yes, I 100%. I believe in a full democracy. I believe in negotiation. I believe that all parties.
I don't know about the democracy thing. I think that there should be like a test to vote. But when I say
Okay.
you also agree with that, because if not, then you think that children should be allowed to vote.
Sure. I think there are some. I think that I usually tend towards there should be none, unless it would lead to catastrophe, which I think that children would lead to catastrophe.
Look at America, man.
I don't know if I have a better answer though, because I think every time that we've set up tests to vote, like poll tests
there's
or
flaws.
things like that.
Yeah, there's flaws, but we shouldn't be eradicating the testing procedure. There should be more utility. Aha, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You like that? You like that?
Because you think I'm a utilitarian? Is that fair? Yeah.
It seems like it. Yeah, I mean, your word seems to be.
I'm certainly a consequentialist. Sure.
Yeah, your word seems to be utility. Whatever you can utilize, that's what you're pursuing.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So sorry.
Right, but I think that me and you are unified in one existence, and we have the ability to participate in the same thing, even if our languages are distinct or are never expressing the fullness. We're still capable of discovering through participation facts of the matter through coherent self-awareness. And what I've been trying to do in this conversation and conversations far before this is I'm literally attempting to measure consciousness. So where everybody else is studying the rocks they don't believe in and the numbers they don't believe in, I believe in consciousness. And seemingly even the atheists will affirm that they possess consciousness. And I think we test that through their self-awareness of the words that they are expressing.
Okay,
because if what we realize is the words that they're expressing are not self-referential, then where are the words coming from?
Sure. Here's really my question, because again, not to be that, I'm going to be that anti-realist. I just am. When you say consciousness is testable, through what mechanisms, through what tests?
We've been doing the test through the word test.
Yeah, but couldn't I talk to AI? I don't think that you would. Yeah, I don't think that you would think that AI is. Do you think that AI is conscious? Do you think that ChatGPT is conscious?
If consciousness is implying self-awareness of an individual self with a soul, no.
Okay, great. But couldn't I have, like, what test could I give AI that I couldn't give to me?
Oh, you can't test the. I mean, I think that what is going to distinguish you from AI is the consistency or even the establishment of honesty, deception, and a lie. If you think that AIs possess those three abilities, then you might have a strong argument.
I think they certainly
might
can.
Be forced to.
Yeah, I think they certainly can. Which is to me.
You think that just to clarify, you think that AIs possess the ability to be honest?
Yes. But honesty to them is pursuing their objective functions, which
by pursuing is there an intentionality?
It's intentionality is a blurry concept that is impossible to test. They are pursuing it nonetheless. Maybe intentionally or not, I don't know. But intentionality is something that is impossible to test.
That's just a claim.
I believe. Sorry, you could. If you want to throw out a test, I'd be like, oh shit, okay, let me change my mind on that, because that's actually a pretty good test.
Brother, wake up! You're the test. Do you have intentionality?
Do I have intentionality? Yes.
There you go.
Subjectivity, I believe that I have intentionality. Yes. But does AI believe it has intentionality? There's no way to access it. I can't access its brain.
Maybe even this, right? Maybe next week I'll be interested in studying the robots. But for me, if you were to tell me, hey man, we're gonna wipe out all the robots today, I'd say, all right, I don't really care.
Yeah, I don't really care either.
Right, but if you were to tell me you plan to wipe out all the humans, right? I would care.
Yeah.
Right. So should we be measuring the consciousness of the AIs right now, or measuring the consciousness of the humans?
I think we should be doing neither. I think we should accept
as
an axiom. Just listen. We should accept as an axiom, as just a unproven assertion. Humans matter, and actually we shouldn't be killing them. They're good.
You think we shouldn't be studying consciousness?
Well, no, sure, but not in so far that we determine whether or not it's moral to keep humans around.
Well, no, yeah, wait, no, yeah, we don't need AIs for that. But remember, when you asked me about the consciousness test, Instead of keeping it about human beings, you moved it to something impersonal about a robot that I don't care about. I don't care about robots. I don't care about rocks. Right? Yeah. What I care about is our species and seemingly other animalistic species. Man, I've caught myself being like a pacifist recently. I've started catching flies in my house. I threw out the fly swatters.
You're
soft,
a vegan.
man.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting soft, man.
Wait, do you think flies are conscious? Do you value the life of flies?
Well, I value their life. I don't think they're conscious.
Interesting. Okay. And do you have a specific cutoff on like what you think? I'm just trying to pick the brain. I'm just curious. Do you have a specific cutoff of like all animals?
Yeah, I think intrinsic value exists within the identity of everything, unless it's a deviation protocol from that which is good. Meaning that if there's just like emptiness or real isolation, well then there's not going to be value within that, because everything go ahead.
Would you yeah I'm just curious how far you would take this. And I don't think that you're being inconsistent at all, by the way. I'm just always curious, like if you don't want to kill a fly, like do you think killing trees is a bad idea?
So the thing is like if I kill a fly with a fly swatter because I get too annoyed, I don't think that I did something like abhorrent, but I don't think that it was necessary for me to do it. So like let's say that I have an emotional reaction and a fly lands on my nose a couple of times, and as a result I take its life. I think what's wrong is my neurotic reaction in that moment.
Okay. So here's really my question is if you cut down a tree and
well, is there a cat in the tree?
No, just a tree.
Random tree?
Yeah, you found a tree in the forest, and it's actually not home to anything. You checked.
Okay, why am I cutting it? Why am I cutting it?
Because you want to build a fire, and you just want to have a campfire with your buddies.
That's not rational. I want to cut down an entire tree because I want to make one campfire. That's not rational now.
Okay, fine. Yeah, maybe I can't think of a functional reason to cut down a tree. That's fair. Do you think that?
Okay. Have you read that book? There's a book about this.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
What? Chat, type the book in the chat. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It's a green book.
No one knows what the hell he's talking about.
Want to bet? I'll bet you 10 push-ups right now they know what I'm talking about.
I can't do 10 push-ups. No, I could probably do 10 push-ups, but I don't want to do 10 push-ups.
Let's see. I'll do my push-ups. If nobody says it, man.
Soil and Green? Is that it? No, that's not it.
No, oh my God. You don't know what that is, do you?
I know what Soil and Green... Well, sorry, I've never read Soil and Green. I know the base idea.
Stop. What?
I know the base idea. Is that why you're vegan mostly? Is because of Soil and Green?
I mean, that's one reason.
No, sure. I'm not trying to just minimize what you believe. I think I'm being...
Dang, nobody knows what the book is? Oh my God.
So it's not Soil and Green. Okay. What's the book? Just tell us.
I don't know. Hang on. My wife will probably know. Hang on.
No, you don't have to prove anything.
No, it's a good book. What's the book about the kid who cuts down the tree?
Oh, you don't know it.
And then there's no more. The Giving Tree. I told you she would know. She's way smarter than I am.
I know The Giving Tree. I've read The Giving Tree. It's a good tree. It's a good book.
Is it a factually good tree? Sorry.
It's a factually good tree. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
You've convinced me.
Look at.
I will say we should.
Wait, have I proven to you that at least one word is real?
No.
Sorry, I yelled. See, that was irrational.
That was irrational. I think it's okay though. Sometimes we're irrational beings. It's all good.
Sometimes, man. I try to be more rational every day.
Yeah, I will say I've enjoyed this conversation. Yeah.
Be wary about the people who are just arguing to argue, because they're literally weaponizing it to the point that you're not even talking to them. You're not talking about their beliefs.
I fully agree, and I'm going to be honest. I mistook you as that several times in this conversation.
Oh. Is that why you got emotional a couple times?
Yeah, I did feel frustrated that I feel like you were weaponizing language in a way to obscure what was going on. Yeah.
No, I think that's just a part of, you know how there's like a test or an experience? I think that to navigate through this maze of language, it reduces down to this, because we have every single time someone's disagreeing, they're disagreeing about a personal experience or a word or the definition of the word every single time.
I think so, yeah. I think I mostly agree with that, yeah.
All right, brother. Okay. I'll let you talk to somebody else, man.
Yeah, I just feel like we're looping, and
it's good. Yeah, I'll drop down.
We should let other people up.
Yeah, brother. I'll drop down, man. It's a pleasure. Man. Nice to meet you, man.
Yeah, you too.
Love you, Hunter.
Yeah, peace out. Bye. Fact. All right, cool. 10 guest requests. There's a lot of people in here. How's it going? Should I let multiple people in? Do we go one-on-one? I don't know. What are you feeling?
Well, in my experience, it can get a little discombobulated because then
I
people start to
agree.
crosstalk. But I mean, it's hey, I'm just a squirrel in your world. You know what I'm saying? This
No,
is your
I
panel.
hear you. I hear you. But I also, yeah, I'll ask the comments actually. Do you think we should pull multiple people in? Do you like the 1v1? I will say that I bet you've been waiting in there for a long time. So,
Not me particularly. I mean,
oh
I came in because
shit.
the last guy
Do I
you
not do
had on,
it? Is this not based off of time? I don't know the order in which it goes.
it switches it up sometime. Honestly, yeah.
Okay, well,
Sometimes
you
like,
were first on the list. I apologize if you were later and you didn't get booted. Blame
mm,
TikTok. Don't blame me, or blame me because I'm ignorant. But then tell me what to do better.
right.
Anyway, sorry. Go ahead. What do you want to talk about?
I was hoping to talk about the trans women are women thing, and so I'm
Please,
kind.
yeah. I will say this will get like sorry. I just want to
Sure.
I have a
Uh-huh.
degree in philosophy of language and logic. And this is really how I arrive at that distinction is understanding a good
Uh-huh.
philosophy of language. So I hope I'm not going to get too pedantic. I hope I'm not going to engage in like sophistry or anything like that. But like, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, my position would be, I guess my first premise would be is that trans is a prefix modifying the noun woman from a
Okay.
condition of fact into a condition of fiction.
Hmm.
And so essentially, and I would say a woman is adult human female, and then I would say the conclusion being that trans women are fictional and that women are factual.
Okay, sure. So what is your definition of women?
Adult human female.
And what's your definition of female?
Of or denoting the sex that can primarily, of or denoting the sex that either has a Müllerian reproductive strategy or of the sex that can typically that bears large gametes.
Okay, but how would you determine a member of like I guess my question is there are it's kind of contested on which categories are intersex. So sex is sort of it's unfortunately a little bit of a cluster concept too. How do you
Well,
determine who belongs to
intersex
female?
is an outdated term even by the usage in now is
No,
because
it's not. Well, what would be the term?
yes, DSDs, disorders of sexual
Oh, you are
development.
correct. Sorry, that is true.
Yeah,
Yes, DSDs.
right, right.
How do you determine who is a member of the females? Who is a female and who is not, based off of what
Well,
DSD exists? Because they're
they'd be
contested.
of yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Sorry. Nope.
I'm saying that well, they're going to still be of or denoting even the DSDs, the let's say like Swire syndrome or things like that. They're still of or denoting male or female.
Right,
So
but
there's not more. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
right. I think really what I want to assert is that there isn't really a necessary and sufficient condition when it comes to female, because there are going to be people that
Sure,
don't
there
fall in.
is.
Okay, can you give me one?
Well, I mean, it depends on just at what level you want to talk about, right? Now, if you're going to just go down the route of I can't tell, well, then you're just basically saying if somebody's a good enough liar, you should just go along with it, right?
No, but I think
Uh,
that yeah. Go ahead.
yeah.
Sorry, I'm gonna
r-
go ahead.
So if you're just going strictly from visual, right? Well, then
Mhm.
essentially you're saying you're opening the gateway for people to be dishonest as long as they're very convincing in their lie, right? If I said to you, like, let's say if I bought an old police cruiser off of an auction or something like that, I found a uniform and I watched a lot of cop shows to get the mannerisms down, and let's say one day I pulled you over and I was very convincing, you were convinced that I was a cop, and I got your info and I gave you a ticket and stuff like that, give you all that impression. Does that make me a cop just because you bought it,
I would
right?
say no, and that's largely because, and really what I think categories are social constructions. So when we determine what specifically makes a cop, you do not fit that category. Most people would not consider you a cop. Now you can't be wrong to a fact of the matter, but you can be wrong to the rest of society. Society would not
Well,
consider that person a cop.
I think social categories are a construct, but I think factual categories are not. Like, well,
Okay,
let's
so
say
what?
look at, yeah,
So
go ahead.
do you recognize that there's a maybe a gender sex distinction or no?
I would say that gender is just the category for maturity, species, and then SMEX.
Okay, so there is no, so sorry, the way that people often understand the distinction between a sex and gender, you would reject, right? You would say that woman is actually just an adult female.
Well, I only care about the factual one. If you're taking some
You say
usage of the word
factual,
gender,
yeah, and I think
yes.
this is unfortunately going to get to maybe the last one. I don't know what you mean by factual. By what authority can you determine that fact?
Okay, well, when I say factual, I mean anything, the things that line up or are in alignment with reality, that which with aligns with reality. And when I
Yeah.
talk about what reality is, I would say it is the unifying field upon which all minds
Right,
can
but
have
how do
union.
you so here's really my question. Here's really my question. And maybe I'll just give my distinction for what specifically
Hmm.
specifically what a woman is. So I recognize that all social categories, including woman, are sort of nested categories. Wittgenstein described it really well. I'm gonna be citing him quite a bit. He says that basically you've got it's a web of members of a specific category, and there's like a prototypical member at the very at the very center, and then anyone who sort of shares any sort of family resemblance to that member is a member of that category. So we'll look at something like chair, and a chair that has like four legs and is wooden or something, and like sits in your dining room.
They share a common trait. Yeah.
Yeah, anything that shares that common trait or common traits like it, but you can't specifically pull out just one family resemblance and say it matches all of these. Family resemblances are necessarily blurry. They're also on a gradient. You can be more or less like a chair.
Well, I mean, and like I said, it really just depends on what you're defining or what the intent is behind the categorization. If I
So,
defined, let's say, the category of seat like to be, and I define seat to be, something that you can place your body weight on and be at a position of rest. Well, many things under that, let's say that could be a couch, that could be a sofa, that could be a recliner, that can be a
uh-huh,
bar stool, right? That can be a
uh-huh.
bench, right? So all those things would fall under the category, and yet they would have a shared common characteristic. So if you're
Yeah,
going
but
to
they don't
search trans,
necessarily have to. There are like for example, you couldn't point to a single thing about a chair that would necessarily make it a chair. Like the idea that it has
well, then it's
four.
not in the category.
No, no. Okay, then name one characteristic about chairs that necessarily has to follow within the realm of chairs.
Well, in the way that I define the category, right, it
No,
would
no,
have
no.
to
In
be
the way that
something.
everyone defines a category. In that, like,
Well,
and
like,
I'm really going to
well,
be
you
looking
you
at
have to
social
you
use.
you would have to talk again. Well, again, if you're just talking about social use, well, then that's fiction. That's
But
why I
then
said
what
I'm
else is
concerned with the
language?
factual one.
Is communication between two different individuals, between a
So
society and a rebuilding. Okay, wait here. Let me really say this. Let me
I can tell
really.
you what language is. If we want to start from the beginning, we can start there if you'd like, and then we can
Okay,
form a basis for
I think
meaning.
really. Sorry. Really what I'm going to be looking at is when you see someone and you say man or woman, you are not
Hmm.
referring to facts of the matter of their gametes. You're not checking their
Yeah,
chromosomes.
yes, I am.
You're not checking their chromosomes. You have no
I'm
idea
not
what
checking.
chromosome
I'm not checking them. I'm not checking them. But the referent is in connection too.
in connection to. Sure, but what specifically are you checking?
So I could be wrong, right? And that's kind of where you can just get into
No,
some
no, no,
sort
no.
of
But
correspond,
and
right?
here's really what I come down to: you can't be wrong when it comes. Society can't be wrong when it comes to a social category. That's like the
Right. Well, and
that's.
that's why I don't care about social categories. I care about factual categories.
So what else would you describe? Okay, so I guess my question is, what authority do you recognize? Okay, oh, okay, no. Here's really my question. Here's really my question.
Hmm.
Do you acknowledge that if you're saying that all words are just mapping onto a distinct reality that exists behind the surface, that there is some ontology of words that exists beyond it,
It
there
depends
is
if you
no
can
way.
bridge the
There is no
analytic
way to
synthetic
access
distinction.
that.
Well, yeah. Well, okay. Yes, you can actually. If you bridge the analytic synthetic distinction, and of course you're going to use logic. And this is why I said we can have a conversation about the foundations
Yeah,
of
that's
language.
Kant, right? It's been a little while. What's the analytic synthetic distinction again?
Okay, so the analytics distinction is based off what's called the verification. Well, in short, the two distinctions are part of the verification principle, and the verification principle basically stipulates that statements of value either have to be analytic or synthetic. Analytic, obviously, just meaning that they could be succinct or they could be succinct within their context use or within the way they're using. So if I said a bachelor is an unmarried man, that's true within the context of the definition of bachelor
Yeah,
in
it's
its
like
context
tautological.
use. Right, right. And so then
Okay.
if I said, so it can be, so in this way, you can create fictional narratives that are very succinct, right? And this is why I say, like, when certain people call themselves women, like, you could probably come up with a succinct fictional usage of the word woman, and it would be succinct
As
analytically,
in,
but it wouldn't map into reality. Right now, this is where we get to the synthetic distinction. The synthetic distinction basically just says that, like if I said to you, "Hey there, sir, there's a tree over there on the other side of that hill." Well, the only way you're going to know that is if you go and see for yourself that it is there. So the
Right.
synthetic
Okay.
distinction maps onto reality, and in order to bridge the gap, come over the bridge from imagination or abstraction, you
Mm-hmm.
have to bridge the gap between the analytic and the synthetic.
Okay. So, sorry. Can you just clarify then? How specifically can we ever determine? Can you ever determine who is a woman?
Well, again, there's first the identity of the term, because the word woman is a noun. Nouns are person, places, or things. That means sufficient and necessary criteria. Now,
Wait,
there
wait, wait.
is
No, but I
also.
already reject that. I do reject that nouns have sufficient and necessary conditions. I don't. And by the way, sorry. I just
What
want
is
to
a
be.
noun?
I want to be super. I want to be super clear. Actually,
Sure.
this isn't just like two philosophies butting heads against each other. I do think that you are factually mistaken on how
On what?
language functions. The thing that I will assert is
Well,
that we can look
it
at.
uses syntax. Do you agree?
Hold on, hold on. I just want to assert my statement.
Sure. Sure. Sure.
Here's really what I think. Or sorry, here's what I know is that
Hmm.
the base structures of AI, um, they when we were trying to develop language into AI and use large language models, we a lot of the early companies used necessary and sufficient components, but then they sort of evolved into a more Wittgensteinian approach or Roschian approach, where they recognize that categories and words and language do not exist in necessary and sufficient conditions. They exist in temporal locations that are blurry and have gradients to it, and that's why like they use matrices to sort of.
That's only if you're referencing something that is ultimately okay. When we get down to the nitty gritty, right? Everything is either in motion or it is stationary. When we look at the structure of reality itself, so it is either verb or it is fact.
I
Fact
think
would be immutable,
like
right? Hold on.
again like
I'm going somewhere with this. I'm going
okay,
somewhere with this.
okay.
Right. So when we talk about what is immutable, right, a condition of thinking cannot change a state of fact. So when we reference things that are in a condition of fact, right, the fact is immutable because the reference is immutable, and that's what gives it its authority because it maps onto reality and therefore it is factual, and your condition of thinking cannot change the referent at all, right? So, and because of that, we know that we have the basis to assume that certain things have meaning, and this is where we get to the formation of nouns. And now, concepts can also be nouns, right? And you can come up with very succinct usage concepts of nouns. Like if I said,
Okay, wait.
there's a horse. Yeah, go ahead.
No,
Go
no,
ahead.
no. Sorry, sorry, sorry. I just realized. Couldn't I concede all of this and just make a new distinction and just say that can we just, and maybe we don't have to call it woman. We can call it whatever you would like. We can just call it the way that people treat people who they perceive to be women.
I've actually come up with my own suggestion of what they should use. I personally think they should say femme man or femme boy because those are actually accurate. They're just
no. Okay,
either
okay, well, okay,
right?
but then I would immediately contest and say every time you say women, you're not verifying that reality. So we don't need to.
Wait, what verifying what reality?
Okay, so
I'm not going to
an example,
verify fiction.
an example that I'm going to give
Uh-huh.
is a friend of mine who has Turner syndrome. She
Uh-huh.
didn't know that she had Turner syndrome. It's a DSD, by the way. She didn't know
Yes.
she had Turner syndrome until she was 25 years old. Okay, she had
Uh-huh.
abdominal pain and had to check whether or not she did. Or sorry, she had no idea that she even could have a DSD. And then
Uh-huh.
they did some X-rays and they're like, oh my god, I think that those are like male gonads in there. Like they were extremely small, but like
Sure.
technically
yeah.
yeah.
I've heard of Turner
Anyway,
syndrome. I've had this
for sure.
discussion quite a lot.
There is no verification that you could ever give towards any woman that you're describing to determine that they aren't a member of those DSD population. Because when she was
you're
1 to
correct that people
24,
can be wrong. Yeah, you're correct.
okay,
that
okay,
people
okay,
can
okay.
be
So,
wrong. Sure.
so why are you facilitating language only in this circumstance when there's no way to ever correct
You mean
for this
in
circumstance?
this? Okay, wait. Well, in what circumstance? Right. Just because people can be wrong in the same way that if I tricked you into pulling you over and you thought I was a cop, right? In the same way that people can be wrong, that doesn't change the fact. No condition of thinking or averting from the fact can ever change the state of the fact. Now, people can be ignorant of the
No.
fact.
Okay. So you would you would tell this woman that she's not a woman?
I mean,
from ages 1 to 24, she's like, I'm a woman. I got boobs. I got a period. I got a vagina. I got all this stuff.
If it's factually the case, this is what I was. Yeah.
But the factual, you keep saying the factual, but the category that we're using is to some degree blurry. We don't specifically know where it begins and ends, and there are definite family resemblances. That's the Wittgensteinian word to use. There are family resemblances that hold on. There are family resemblances that my friend with Turner syndrome has that identifies her with 99% of the female the women population, the population that we call women. But I would also say that most post-op passing trans women shared 99% of the features that we identify with the female population.
No, they don't. When we look at the difference between men and women, there's actually close. There's 6,000 differences between men and women. Actual men and women.
Okay, wait. Because it's a bimodal system. You can't just say that there are differences. Sure, there's like you could point to height being a definition, but I've met women that are taller than me, and I'm fucking 6'3". Like I'm a tall guy.
Yeah, I never said why. When we speak in generalities, we're excluding the exceptions. I'm not saying there aren't exceptions.
So you're saying cool. So if we're speaking in generalities, certainly there are distinctions between men and women, but I would say if we're looking at those generalities, the set that often occupy women, then if we're looking at just general distinctions, post-op trans women fulfill not those thousands. When you say that there's thousands of distinctions, certainly post-op trans women fit more in line with those generalities that you're referring to.
Okay, great. Now let me ask you something. What are they then? And tell
all
me
of the
in a way.
distinctions between the women, all feminine traits.
Right. So, and what is femininity? So, and what are feminine traits?
Do you want me to just run through a list, or like what are you looking for? Because I could if you want. We can look at height. We can look at facial structure. We can look at.
I'm trying to show you that any definition or context usage you're going to use is going to apply to both males and females in order to hold consistent that a trans woman can be a woman.
Wait, sorry. Say that one more time, because I don't think I agree to that. Go ahead.
I'm trying to show you that in order to hold consistent that a trans woman can be a woman, any definition or context or description you're going to use is going to have to be able to apply to both males and females, which is just going to invalidate your worldview.
No, because what I don't.
Okay, let's run through it.
No. I disagree with your premise. I don't disagree with your conclusion. Okay.
Let's run through it.
Given your understanding of definitions. No. I don't think you understand my contention. What I am saying is that I think you misunderstand what a definition is. A definition, if you look at it like the definition of a chair, for example, it's going to put words like generally.
Okay, so what is a definition
to you?
There
is no necessary and sufficient conditions. It's a blurry cluster concept with a centralized member and a gradient to it, with blurry boundaries. That's what a definition is.
It depends. Okay, so I'll tell you what I define definition as a description. Right now, descriptions can have necessary and sufficient conditions, or they can just rely on sufficient conditions, which is what you're talking about. Conditions.
No, I'm not. Wait, hold on. Name.
Okay, great.
Let's look at. Wait, hold on. Can we look at any just like give me a noun and let's look at the definition of it, and I'll point to exceptions for this, or recognize that actually prototype theory, which is the kind of name of the linguistic field that recognizes that the necessary and sufficient conditions just don't exist in language, is baked into the definition. This is something that every lexicographer fully agrees with. If you just look up like do lexicographers agree with prototype theory, you're going to get yeses all across the board. But go ahead, let's look up name any noun.
Okay. How about we go with let's say rock.
Rock. Okay. Awesome. Here's a definition. Before I go, do we want to look at Merriam-Webster? Do you care about the dictionary? I think Google usually uses Oxford.
I don't think Merriam. I don't. Both of those dictionaries are bad, and I've actually debunked both of them when they're used.
Debunked both. By the way, I just want to point to the kind of.
Okay, if you stop interrupting me, I can finish sentences, and then I can tell you exactly what I mean.
Okay, great.
Right, what I mean is those two dictionaries are terrible. Number one, Merriam-Webster admits that they're not they're not a prescriptive dictionary. And then number two, Oxford Dictionary is a general or common use dictionary. So if I came up with a term, let's say like a schmarmmer, right? And
Yes.
enough people started to
Yes.
use it,
Yes.
Oxford would create.
Yes.
Oxford would create
Welcome
a definition
to
for it.
language. Welcome to how language has always functioned. I have a question, just real quick.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Do you know what a lexicon is?
I don't know what a lexicon is. No. Wait,
Okay,
hold on.
great.
I have a question.
lex-
I have a question.
oh,
Can I?
oh.
I'm going to ask my question.
Go ahead.
Let's say I use the word nickname because I'm misspeaking. I actually heard a nickname and I heard it as an nickname this whole time. Okay, and I go
Uh-huh.
and I describe and I go, oh, an nickname for Joseph is Joe. Okay, would you probably say that's wrong?
I don't know, because if you just gave me an utterance, like a sound, right? A sound can be.
Well, yeah, but that was
misheard.
unintelligible, right? That the dictionary should not recognize that's how letters should be that's how to use the word nickname.
How to use the word nickname.
Well,
yeah. Again, the
Here's
word
all
that you're
okay.
referencing.
Here was the conclusion to my statement. That was what it was actually. It actually used to be nickname, and then we misheard it as a social phenomena. We all heard it wrong and heard a nickname, and that became the established definition because that's how language functions. It evolves over time.
Is the word nickname, is it a common noun or a proper noun? What kind of noun is it?
It's a common noun. Yeah, it's a noun.
Okay, great. So, right, depending on the type of noun it is, right, that'll help you know the context usage.
What is
right?
that? Okay, wait. No, but you kept saying that you're a prescriptivist. But I'm saying prescriptivists can't point to any authority because any authority is necessarily baked in descriptivist motivations from the previous generation.
No. What gives definition prescriptive power is the fact that it has authority, and that authority comes from it not only being succinct, but it also being in a condition or state of fact, and that comes from, like I said, the analytic and synthetic distinction.
But you should probably recognize that some dictionaries, in it, you believe in a fully descriptive, a fully prescriptive dictionary. Yes.
I'm saying that definitions or dictionaries can be prescriptive. You got to look at the word that's being used and its context or context usage. But I'm saying that a dictionary can be prescriptive.
Okay, here's my question: where could it pull that prescription from?
I literally just told. I
know you just say facts of the matter, but I don't know what that means. When you look at a category, don't you just have to determine it based off of how people are using it?
Right. So I'll give you another example.
Yeah.
If I said the word mujer, right, and then I said no, that's a woman, right? So those are both the same word. Those are two different words or different usage, different sounds, different spellings for the same referent. So if the referent is exactly the same, right? A rose by any other name is still a rose, right? If we're both if someone's using mujer, well, we're both correct and we're both authoritative in our prescription. What's different is we're using a different construct, aka a different language, aka just a slightly different lexicon.
Right, but wouldn't you probably concede that our usual use of the word woman is probably context dependent, that there are other societies that might have very, very, very slightly different uses of the word woman. That actually if you look at... Wait, hold on.
I'm glad you brought this up.
Even if you look at, you use mujer, right, which is Spanish, right?
Right.
Let's just say, I don't know if this is true. I would actually bet that this is true, but maybe it's not true. If we look at the Spanish society, they actually have probably a different connotations and distinctions about what makes a woman than our society. I live in America. I don't know if you live in America. It sounds like you got an American accent.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they would come up to. The referent is the same, and the referent would be an object or a fact of reality, right?
So how do you make sense? Right? How do you make sense of like a Mexican person saying referring to like machismo and just saying like that person is less of a man? Doesn't that imply some sort of gradation?
Well, if you're talking about something like machismo, that would just basically be a no true Scotsman fallacy, because again, you're using. Because if you gatekeep a term, especially a fictional one, right, when it has no authority for its prescription, right, you really don't have just a basis to even do that.
That would
just be a gatekeeping fallacy.
It does feel like I'm arguing with nothing when people are just like are so bolstered into this like platonic idea of like
Mhm.
facts of the matter that exist without recognizing that people use words in a way that's fundamentally different than what you were describing.
I was going to address that in a moment. I'm glad you actually brought that up.
Okay.
So, like, I got four sisters, right? And when they get
Okay.
together, they're all grown up, by the way, and they like to drink the little apple teenies and do their
Yeah.
girly things when they start talking and giggling and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, they always say woman or girl, right? Now, all my sisters are grown women.
Yeah.
So, are they literally calling their other sisters or their other friends, female friends,
It's another
adolescent
definition
human
of
females?
girls. And by the way, I am
Wha-
a pure descriptivist, so I don't know if we're just going to
Okay.
have like a fundamental disagreement.
Okay, well, we'll get to that in a second. But what I really would just like to finish a point.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
My point is that in doing that, right, there is the factual conveyance that is authoritative, meaning adult human female. But in this instance, right, my sisters or these females all together are being using the sense of the word that is expressive. Expressive is non-formal and non-literal. So yes, you can say girl
Right.
or girl please, right?
I totally,
And not literally mean that they are an adolescent human
I
female.
100%, sorry, I 100% agree with you. I do want to
Yeah.
contest this because this is actually a really good question that I've had a few times, which is at what point does metonymy or a metaphor become a definition? Because we see this quite a bit actually that like neurologically speaking, you might use metonymy, which is like where you take a part and you reference it as the whole. Like you might say something like, the White House made a decision. Now, did the White House literally make a decision? Was it literally the White House? No, it was the President of the United
That's
States.
the difference between a proper noun and a common noun, remember?
No, it's metonymy. It's metonymy. Those are both proper nouns.
Okay. Again, if you're talking about, let's say, like a proper noun, something that is the name of something specifically, right? And the White House, right, is a term, referencing the central power of government. Well, then you're just talking about whatever administration is currently at the central power for administration, essentially. So you say the White House, you're just referencing, at least if you're using it in a now context, you're referencing just the hub of power currently, right? So
Sure.
it's not
But
that hard.
No. But what I'm
difference
saying is, you can supplant. I can supplant the word White House to mean the president, and that starts. And I guess my question is, at what point does that fiction become fact? Because I could look at the etymology of thousands of words that we would consider factual that actually began as utterances of metaphor or metonymy. Like, for example, the word poop. Okay, the word poop. We would probably say, well, that's not a metaphor. We're referring to the actual fecal matter that exists. But that actually, if we look at it, if we look at the etymology of that word, it was actually just an utterance that kids jokingly used to mimic what the butthole did. Their mouth went poop like a thing. Maybe this is a little gross. Sorry, this was just the thing
it just sounds like the reference change, and the referent or the
Yes.
context usage of the referent is now to something that is actual and factual, which is fecal matter.
Okay, but I guess my question is, isn't that a blurriness that you're describing here? The distinction between a metaphor and a fact? Like at what point the first person who said, oh, the White House made a decision, it might have been a little jarring. It's like, oh, I see what you mean. Interesting use of the language. Now someone says the White House made a decision, and I don't blink an eye. Like I already think, like, wait, oh yeah, I guess technically that's a building. But I do think of the president also. Like when you say the White House, I often refer to as the president.
That's why it's really just that's why you got to look at context clues and things like that.
Right, but when you wait, when you look at context clues, aren't you using a descriptive lens then?
Well, this is why adjectives, adverbs, and things like that inform you on the context usage of the word. And so when you hear, let's say, like the White House, right? Then again, that could be in reference to the proper noun usage of it.
But
right? And so,
okay, my question is, if you just take a prescriptivist lens, you would probably say, a dictionary that determines what specifically prescriptivism. That like here's how words used, here's what the White House means, and it doesn't add in that caveat that it could mean the executive branch because it's not descriptive. It looks how people use it and it goes, I don't give a fuck.
Well,
Even if
even as a
people are
prescriptivist, though, I can still structure sentences to refer to, let's say, like an administration or a common noun or proper noun
yes,
as
but
well. I
you would
can
be
still do
wrong
that.
because you're not adhering to the dictionary's definition. No.
No, because again, if we're
What is a
referencing
prescriptivist then?
something, right? So a prescriptivist is somebody that harps on the usage of words as referenced by authority, which is usually brought into a condition of fact, usually by the facts of the matter.
Wait, wait, wait. No, 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 no.
Yes.
Because, sorry. First off, a prescriptivist, specifically when it comes to a dictionary, a prescriptivist is one that asserts authority as the
Yes.
as the reality of the language. Okay.
The authority is the succinctness, the fact of the matter, and that
And the
connection.
dictionary is just communicating that reality. Yes.
Well, like I said, it really depends on the context usage. But yeah, if you were using a purely prescriptive dictionary, then yes, it would.
Okay, so I guess you said we can't use this dictionary because it's a descriptivist. We can't use Merriam-Webster because it's a descriptivist
I
dictionary.
never said you can't use it. I just
Okay,
said that it
fine, fine,
wouldn't be
fine,
in
fine.
reference. Hold on. What I said is it just wouldn't reference. It would be questionable on whether it's referencing a fact, and I would have to look at the context usage of whatever
And it's
definition you
determinable by
decide to
you.
use.
It's determinable by you because I would probably
No,
clear.
no,
Oh, then how do you
I'm
determine
capable.
it?
Hold on.
To what
I'll tell you. Hold on.
authority?
Oh my goodness, dude.
Sorry.
Okay,
Go
so
ahead.
what I'm telling you is I'm not the authority. I only recognize the authority, and guess what? You can too,
Okay.
right? In the same way that you can see the syntax of mathematics, right? You can also do the same thing for language. That's the authority. Not me, not you, not any one of us in
Okay.
particular. All of us are
Okay.
capable of doing that.
So how do I determine like what are the facts of the matter that I use when someone says the White House is the White House made a decision? How do I determine if they've made an error or not? Like given your system, because I'm confused by your system. I'd like you to walk me through
That's
how to
very simple.
determine.
Do you know what a prepositional phrase is?
Yes.
Okay,
Do
great.
you want me to
So
describe it or do you believe me?
it's structured preposition, article, noun, correct?
Um, does it always have to have an article? Sure. Yeah. I understand. Yes.
Preposition, article, noun, and then if you want to form like more of a complete
Yeah, yeah,
sentence,
yeah,
you
yeah,
throw in a
yeah. I don't
verb,
know.
right? So
I think that there might be
preposition.
prepositional phrases that don't exactly fit that format, but yeah. I agree with you.
Yeah, essentially though, you have to set the sentence and the
Yeah.
conditions
Definitely
into
needs to
motion.
have a
So you need
preposition.
a verb in there. You
100%.
need a verb,
Sure.
right? So again, so if I was to say like, for the White House
Uh-huh.
is with the uh, decision hyphen making by the authority of the administration, right?
Uh-huh.
Right, well, you know exactly what the facts or the nouns of that sentence are,
But
don't you?
you say you know. I don't know. How do I determine what are facts or not?
Well, first, what I'm saying is you know the difference between the verbs, the prepositions, the articles, and then the nouns, correct?
I know the
In that
way in
sentence.
which I usually understand it, which is the way that socially is determined to use it.
Well, right
When
now,
I
hold
say
on.
White House, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Right now we're just identifying the parsing, the syntax of the sentence itself. We can get into a dispute over what the word, the facts mean, what the value of the facts is in a moment. Right now, if I said for the White House, right, like you know the difference between the preposition, the article, and the noun, correct?
Yes. Yeah, I
Great.
do.
Now, if we applied that to the entire sentence,
Hmm.
we would know what the
There's an.
nouns are or the
Mhm.
facts of that sentence are, which would be like stuff like the White House
Mhm.
or decision, you right, the thing that they were the decision making or whatever it is that they did, right? So my point in saying that is now the question is, what is the value of that? Meaning, what is the value that was assigned to White House?
Aren't these
The,
subjective determinations?
Well, what it is when we assign value to something, we're specifically just connecting the referent to its expression in language. So if I
Okay.
said, If I said smurmur is, for the smurmur,
Yeah.
right? And then I give you a context, like I give you a value for what a smurmur is. Smurmur is 5'7", 170 pounds, and it's made of steel, and whatever the description of the definition is of that noun is, whatever the necessary and sufficient conditions are, right? That's just the value assignment. And then, of course, the analytic synthetic distinction, and then, of course, the succinctness of it all, and of course, you're able to verify it by authority of the succinctness, the logic, the syntax.
So you go through those determinations anytime you try to determine if something's a fact. Wait, hold on.
Well,
Sorry, can I just? I do want to just make a meta comment for a second. This is, I think, why I and a lot of people hate philosophy. Because I feel like sometimes you can get so bogged up your own asshole. Genuinely is what is. And
it
I
is
apologize.
quite
There's nothing.
frustrating. No.
Could I just assert my belief? Yeah. Because I'm sure you
sure.
find me frustrating. I totally get it. And by the way, I just want to be clear. I don't find you frustrating personally. Like I don't have any.
I'm actually enjoying this conversation. I'm just a little annoyed with the interruptions, but other than that, I'm enjoying it.
Okay, sure. I'll try to keep it I'll try to keep those lower. I just want to be clear. Here's how I think language works, which is pretty succinct and all-encompassing and in my eyes correct. I think that linguistics often says that language is just a form of communication. It's a form of cooperation. Anytime you try to communicate something, you're trying to communicate your specific ideas. As long as those are mutually intelligible and societally, everyone understands you, there is a process of negotiation in which everyone seems to be on the same page. And that's all that language is. And I think that fully explains every phenomena. Yeah.
Let's investigate that. How would everybody be on the same page?
Through constant negotiation. Now I will say that
negotiation. Hold on. Negotiation of what? If you're telling me something, you're giving me a word usage. How would I know what that is?
Yeah.
What the referent is.
Yeah. For example, let's say I'm a baby. I got a 1.5-year-old. He's kind of barely learning language. Let's say I'm not 1.5. Let's say I'm like 2.5. He points to something and he goes, "That's a schmurmur." And I go, "What?" And he goes, "A schmurmur." And I go, "What the hell are you talking about?" And he goes, and he points to it. And I go, "Oh, that's a chair. That's what we call chairs, dude." And then he learns, okay, got it. This is what everyone calls chairs. And that gets reified in his head because it came from a place of supposed authority to him. Because to him, adults can't be wrong. So that gets reified.
No, yeah, go ahead. The authority would be the reality.
Well, sure. We can both look at the chair. But then there are abstract.
That's the whole point I've been trying to make. That's the whole point I've been trying to make. I'm not the authority. You're not the authority. The authority is the succinctness. It's in alignment with reality.
Are you familiar with Rosh's experiment with furniture? Because that's something that I
can't say that. I can't say that I am. But did that make it clear? I'm glad you brought that example. Did that make it clear? I do think it's clear. Me, I'm not the authority. You're not the authority.
Yeah.
The authority is the succinctness with reality itself. Because neither me nor you can change reality.
Sure.
Like that.
So here's this to me is one of my favorite experiments in linguistics. So basically there was this linguist called Eleanor Rosh, and she said, all right, let's get a list of furniture, okay? Like, you got tables, you got chairs, you got desks, and then she did it like telephones and like just shit you'd find in a house. And then she asked a group of people, how furniture are these objects? Now that feels like a weird ass question, right? It's actually perfectly intelligible, and everyone seems to actually be on the same page. How furniture? No, the noun furniture, and I'm using it as an adjective. How furniture is the object.
I was gonna say, did you just turn that into an adjective?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I did.
mean, yeah.
So
yeah.
People yeah. Not only does that kind of fly in the face of classical categorizations where everything has necessary and sufficient conditions and they just point to facts of the matter. In fact, someone can say, okay, well, certainly a chair is less furniture than a sofa, but a telephone is way less furniture than a chair. And that is completely intelligible to everyone. Like when you do that test, everyone is on board. Yeah, actually, she did this rating system of 1 to 7. I don't know why she did 1 to 7. She should have done 1 to 10. She does a 1-to-7 system, and everyone is like remarkably close with a pretty small margin of error of how furniture, sofas, and chairs, and TVs, and tables are. Now, there is no way to organize these within a sense of reality. I feel like that's fully explainable through a system of negotiation where you say, that's furniture, and everyone goes, oh, hell yeah. Then you point to a telephone and they sort of squint and they go, I guess.
Okay,
and through
but
that process,
the negotiation is based off of things that are actual and factual, and that's the value assignment that I'm
But
talking
what is
about.
actual and factual about furniture? That's an abstract category.
Well, furniture exists. Do you agree?
In an abstract sense, sure, they're made up of real components, but it's a category.
No. I mean, does furniture occupy some dimension of existence?
Does furniture occupy some the noun itself, like in a Platonic sense? No.
No, I'm not talking about the words itself, right? Because the words are just symbolism.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
I don't know what you mean.
Right.
Clarify what you mean.
I mean, like, whatever you classify as furniture, does it exist in reality?
Sure, but here's what I'm saying: that classification has gradients.
So the negotiation is going to be based on the assignment of value of what is considered furniture, but that negotiation of the value expression is going to be based off what is actual. Meaning furniture, it's real. Like, you can probably chuck a furniture and throw it at somebody's head if you wanted to.
Sure.
Depending on what furniture it is.
I'll even concede this. Okay, great. But then couldn't I just claim all of the facts of the matter that you point to with a trans woman, for example, and you go, okay, well, she has boobs and she's got a dress on, and those are facts of the matter of a person. And I would say those are
typicalities that would raise the probability of assumption for sure. I'd probably assess that. Yeah.
But here's what I'm saying: there is no yes or no. It's not a binary switch when it comes to any category. Every category has gradient to it.
Well, I mean, actually, when we get all the way down to the genetic level, and we look at, like, say, what ultimately makes somebody male or female, is going to be up or down regulation of the SRY gene and the SOX9 protein. So when
hold on. Just to be super clear, I believe, and I'm not a biologist, I believe, according to that distinction, 2% of the world is non-binary then, according to your determination.
There's no such thing as non-binary when it comes to sex.
Has a DSD, is intersex.
Well, yeah, they would have a DSD. Intersex is also an oxymoron.
Okay. So wait, hold on. You agree? No. Here's what I really should say. 2% of the world population does not belong in the bucket male or female.
I would say that is impossible.
How?
Because everyone's going to denote either to male or female by the means that I just took. It doesn't matter how convincing they are to you on the outside.
Sorry.
Can you name the third?
What is the binary? You said SRY gene?
Yeah, so the SRY gene, and so it's going to be either up or down regulation of a functioning SRY gene.
Okay, so
and then I'm just curious because I don't. Protein plays the SOX9.
I'm not a biologist. I'm not a biologist. Is the SRY gene that's different from like the XY? That's different from the Y chromosome being present or not?
Yeah. We're going deeper than chromosomes when we get into like the SRY gene. Yeah.
Okay, what is it? Okay, can you clarify, like, in terms of people like with Turner syndrome? Is that SRY gene? If it's on, then it's male, and if it's off, it's female?
They're still going to have, if it's upregulated, then it's going to be male. If it's down, if it's inactive or not,
so every person with DSD is going to have an on or off SRY gene?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recognize that 2% of the time, or so, we can quibble about the number, but 2% of the time, I think that definition is non-functional. It's consistent, but it's non-functional because, one, we have almost no access to that gene.
Biologists use it, so it's pretty functional.
Yeah. In a biological sense, in that anything can't. No. I'm saying it's non-functional on a societal level. There is no way to bring that into the societal determinations because I've never investigated.
Well, by your own criteria,
I have no idea if it's on or off, and it could be off. That's what you're saying to me. It could be off, right? I could have it
by your own criteria. by your own criteria, you don't know what anyone is or anything is because you
No, I
can't
think that
see
they're
into them.
socially no, I think that they're socially negotiated terms that we all use
Okay,
that
so then let
exist
me
in a
ask you
gradient. Yeah.
something. Let me ask you something.
Hmm.
If okay, great then. If a trans man and a trans woman are dating,
Hmm.
are they heterosexual? Are they gay, or are they like lesbians? What are they?
I would have to genuinely, and I know that this is going to feel annoying to you, but any sort of determination like that, I'm always going to defer to societal categories. Now, if you want my specific distinction, I'd probably call them heterosexual, sure,
Okay, you would call them that, and why would you call them that?
because one is likely attracted to a man, and the other is likely attracted to a woman, and one is a man and
And
one
wh-
is a woman. So it's a hetero.
and
Sorry,
what is a man and what is a
are
woman?
they? Wait. Is it a gay relationship or are they gay? Because those two
Are they?
things do mean different things. Because you can be
Well, I
gay and
said,
be in a
like I said,
straight
a trans
relationship.
woman and a trans man are
Yeah, yeah.
dating. What are they? What are they?
Like their relationship.
Yeah, are they hetero? Are
Yeah,
they
heterosexual. Yeah.
okay? What if a trans woman and a woman were dating? Are
Yeah,
they
I think
hetero
that
or are
it
they
becomes the
lesbians?
blurriness. It would definitely become less heterosexual.
Um, I mean, okay. Well, what are they? If a trans woman and a
No, no, no,
woman
no,
were
no. I
dating,
don't
are
believe
they
in the
lesbians?
binary of categories. I believe in a gradients. I feel like I've hit that 1,000
Okay,
times.
so
Like I
then what
believe in
are they? So then what
gradation.
are they?
They're
Then
probably
what are they?
less. They probably exist in a little bit of the blurriness between the two. We're
So
gonna
they're
get some
nothing, or
content.
are they something?
No, we're gonna get some contention. Wait, hold on. Is a telephone furniture? I don't know. Sometimes people will say yes, sometimes people will say no. It's like that kind of exists in that blurriness that exists with all categories. All categories are going to have some blurry middle. You found the blurry middle between heterosexual and homosexual.
Well, and
I
that's why
agree.
I'm
It's going
asking.
to be a little bit, I don't know. I might say heterosexual one day. I might say homosexual the other day. I think most people would too. Unless they're
What?
ideologically pretty
Okay, so
predisposed.
then let me ask you something.
Yeah.
The L. Okay, can you define lesbian for me, please? Can you tell me what that is?
No, I'm going to use a cluster concept, and I don't know if that's going to piss you off.
So you don't know what a lesbian is. Can you just
No,
tell
I
me
can
what a
describe
lesbian
what I
is?
can describe that the prototype of a lesbian is someone who is a woman who is generally attracted to women.
And what is a woman?
Someone who generally exhibits feminine traits.
Okay, so can men exhibit feminine traits? Can
Certainly,
males exhibit
certainly,
feminine traits?
certainly.
Okay, great. So then you haven't informed me of anything then.
Yes. Welcome to definite and I really Wait, hold on. I just really want to say this. I think that most
Uh-huh.
people who treat language this way have not read dictionaries. Like
Hold on,
genuinely,
sir. I don't think you see the problem here. The
yeah.
problem here is your definition informs me of nothing. So
That's
why even
only
have the word?
that's only if you think that you can just displace one word, yank it from its environment, and just push it into the other, and say, well, like you learn something throughout this constant creation. This is
Right now, I want to know what it is. What is it? What is a lesbian?
there is hold on. In the same way that you can't know what is furniture, it's going to be a gradation with a prototype in the middle. I can point to the
So then
prototype
why?
and I could say
Uh,
typical cases in which the blurriness suddenly stops becoming a furniture, and I could do the exact same thing with a lesbian. I could point to someone with short hair who's in June on a pride parade and making out with her girlfriend. And I would say that's got all of the traits of what a lesbian is. And then there are softer lesbians. There are lesbians who don't have to be so out and proud about it, but still date women and are still even married
okay.
to women. There are lesbians who are even married to men.
Right
And
now, I
that
just want to know. I want to know what a lesbian is. And you said a woman who's
I
attracted
can
to another
I
woman.
can
Then I asked
point
you
to
what a woman is,
I can point to the prototype and a
and then you
gradient in the
just
same way that I could with any category, but because categories
okay.
exist in a prototypical fashion, they don't have any necessary and sufficient conditions, so I wouldn't be able to point to that.
Okay, great. So let's just run this back. I asked you what a
Yeah.
lesbian is. You said a woman who's attracted to a woman. Then I asked you what a woman is. You said
Can
somebody
you tell me what a
who.
furniture is? What furniture is? Like
Oh,
define that.
okay, can we just get through this, please?
Okay,
And
go
then
ahead.
then I asked you what a woman is, and
Yeah.
then you said someone who is typically feminine, and I said, can males be feminine? And you said yes. So then that means both males and females can be women. Therefore, both males and females can be lesbians.
Okay, here I'm going to run down your I will agree with you. Let me just clarify real quick. A chair definition is a seat typically having 4 legs and a back for one person. Okay, well, a horse is a seat typically having 4 legs and a back for one person. So, really, a horse is a chair.
Right. Well, no, because you're talking about a creature versus.
No, but the definition doesn't say anything about a creature. The chair gave a definition. So as long as it's a not creature, it's no longer a seat.
Well, okay, great. I agree. You can come up with the formulation of sounds for that.
Exactly.
It just might be insuccinct.
I can bury and disentangle any sort of definition to make it incoherent in any specific way. And
if you're saying you can just make up things, I agree. You can do that.
I'm not saying we can make things up.
My point is to you is that you would not be able to navigate and communicate with your fellow man unless you're communicating using nouns.
No, because these
that
distinctions
are
are reified.
Off of something.
These distinctions are reified.
Okay, so nouns need reference. The only question is the referent abstractual or is it actual?
No, because of furniture, and I'm going to just keep using this distinction. Furniture is an abstract. Sorry, that has a referent, right? Furniture.
Well, if you're referencing something that exists in the category, then it would have to be actual.
Okay, awesome.
Question
now
is,
define exactly
what do you
what furniture
categorize
is.
as furniture?
What do I categorize? So it depends on a subjective experience. Now who's being?
Let me ask you something. Can you pick up furniture or can you move furniture?
Sometimes you can't move furniture. Sometimes people would say a telephone is a furniture, and
can it be moved? Can it be moved?
Can it be moved
by anything? Yeah, can by anything, anyone.
This is word slop. I don't know what you're saying. Anything can be moved.
The point. Oh my god. The point that I'm trying to make is whatever you're going to reference or include in the category of furniture is going to be something that exists.
Okay.
Something actual.
Okay. No. Okay. Now define what furniture is. Like and give me a checklist where I know exactly if something is a furniture, and it needs to fully encapsulate everything you want it to be furniture, and it has to fully encapsulate everything or not encapsulate everything you don't want to be furniture. I'm saying it is impossible. But I would love for you to try.
Hold on, sir. The point is that anything that would fall in the category is still actual. It exists. So whether you decide to include the coffee maker or the phone as furniture or exclude it from the category, the point is that those things would exist, or anything you do include in the category of furniture
you keep hitting on existence. Okay, let's.
Yes.
I don't even understand why. Let's only look at concrete examples, and we can use a different category.
Because every noun needs a referent. The only question is the referent abstractual or is it actual?
Abstractual?
Yes.
Okay.
Like I'll give you an example of an abstractual noun.
No. I don't care about this. Let's just look at actual. Okay. Let's only look at actual, because I don't care about this distinction. I feel like it's completely bogging down the conversation. Let's look at.
I really would like us to get on the example that I gave you.
Yeah, right? What's the example?
If you define a lesbian as a woman who's attracted to another woman, and then you define a woman as somebody who's feminine, and then I ask you if males can also be feminine, and you said yes. Well, then if both males and females can be feminine, then both males and females can be women. Therefore, both males and females can be lesbians.
Right, and
which just invalidates the usage of the word altogether.
No, because I think that you're committing a fallacy when you're jumping from one word to the next, where you can just take the definition and supplant it into the word. No, I'm not, because I look at definitions differently than you do. That's not how definitions use, because I can't just say, like, for example, whatever definition that you're going to use. Let's say chair. This chair definition. I'm looking at Merriam-Webster. I know you reject it. We're just going to look at this. A seat typically having.
It's not that I would reject everything in Merriam-Webster. I would have to look at the context usage of the definition you're trying to employ.
Okay, dope.
I'd have to look at whether it's succinct.
No, just listen. Listen. Got it. Okay, I'm gonna give mine. Tell me if you agree with this one. Chair definition: a seat typically having 4 legs and a back for one person.
For chair?
Yes. Is that cool?
Typically having 4 legs and what?
Okay.
Say that last part.
And a back for one person.
Sure.
Okay, awesome. Now, if I say, go sit in that chair, is that intelligible?
Sure.
Okay, now what if I say, now go sit in that, a seat typically having four legs and a back for one person? Is that intelligible? Go sit
In that
in that
what?
a seat. Go sit in that a
Okay.
seat, typically having four legs and a
That
back for one
A
person.
seat?
Yes,
That
that's
A
a
seat?
seat. That doesn't make any sense, right?
I don't know what's the A seat
Exactly.
there.
I
Oh,
agree. It shouldn't make any
what do you
sense.
mean?
But all I did was just supplant the definition into the sentence, and now it's no longer functional because you can't do that. That's not what definitions are
You
designed to
said go
do.
sit in that A seat?
Yes, because the
Well,
definition of chair
again,
is a seat typically having four legs and a back for one person. You can't just supplant the definition and put it into the sentence and then suddenly it's intelligible.
uh,
So you can't
well,
just
I
take
mean, you
my
just no,
definition of woman
actually,
and then supplant it into
yes,
the
yes, you
word
can.
woman in the word
You just have to
lesbian, and now
you
it's
just
a
have to hold on. Yes, you can. You just have to phrase it differently.
so
That's it. It's just a
so I can
rephrasing. That's all that you
okay,
can.
so let's take out the word a, okay? The definition of chair
Like
is
if I
seat
said,
typically having four legs and a back for one person. And I say, go sit in that seat typically having four legs and a back for one person. What the hell am I talking
yeah.
about? I'm talking about one seat. I'm not talking about a typical seat. I'm not talking about some
Here's
abstract
how I'd break
concept. I'm
that
talking
down.
about the seat right
Here's how to
there.
here's how to break it down. Now, just say, hey, go sit in that one seater.
The definition of a chair is not a one-seater.
You said it's meant for one person, and then a seat is
No,
somewhere
but
where you can place.
no. But here's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm saying. You have to reformulate that definition every time you're trying to supplant it into new sentences. So what I'm saying is you
I'm not
can't do that.
formulate
You
the
shouldn't do that.
definition. I
Wait, hold
just
on, hold on, hold on, hold on.
I'm
That's
not
what you were doing with my
reformulating it.
definition of woman. That's what you were doing with my definition
I
of
said
woman.
one, including single, and then I said
Okay.
seat, seater, right? And
Okay. So
chairs
is a
fall under that.
motorcycle
So
a fucking chair?
there's no back on the motorcycle.
You said it's a one-seater. A motorcycle has one seat.
Okay, well, the ones, sure, yes. But if I
Okay.
said that once, go sit on that, if I say
Here.
go get into that seat, that one seater, right? Well, then again, the category that falls under is seat, right? And a
Okay.
seat is something
I,
you can place your
I'm
body weight
only.
on, right?
Okay. So wait, hold
So I
on.
mean, you can say the motorcycle seat, I guess, if you want to say
No, no, no.
that.
But is no. Stop saying seat. Chair. You said a chair was a one seater. You recognize a motorcycle as one seat. You wouldn't
Sure, I
call it
can
a
get
chair,
more.
yes?
Great, I can get more specific. I could say in that chair right there. Because here's the thing: if
No,
I'm
no, no, no,
saying
no,
that
no,
chair
no, no.
right there, right,
I'm trying to point to the idea that you use definitions to just supplant into different sentences is completely unintelligible. That's not how
hold
definitions
on.
work at all.
Yes, when it comes to nouns, there is description, right? Now, the only question is the description describing something abstractual or something actual? If it's some
I don't even know
describing
what the word abstractual is. I've only heard of abstracts.
abstraction, okay, so when we look at like something that's abstractual, like I'll give you an example. Um, I have this concept, and concepts are abstractions. I have this concept
Okay.
of this creature that
Okay.
resembles a horse, and it
Uh-huh.
has wings and has a horn on its head. I'm going to call it
Yeah.
a unicorn.
Yeah.
Now, can I come up with a succinct description of that? And could it have
No.
criteria and all
Okay,
that
great.
stuff?
I get it.
Sure, but it cannot cross the realm into reality. And so the description, it would just be purely descriptive,
Great.
right? It'd be
I'm
purely
about it.
descriptive. Now,
Go. I
all
couldn't
nouns
tell if you
have
were fusing
descriptions.
abstract and factual. No, it's just abstractual. I got it.
Right. And so anything abstractual, right, is going to be conceptual. And so the question is can that concept be mapped onto reality? Right.
Right.
Like I'll
And
give you an
here's
example of how
it's
one
a
can't.
I 1,000,000% agree with you. And here's what I'm saying. All definitions are going to be abstractual and they're all going to be formed so that they can map onto things that are factual. Anytime you look at a definition, it is abstracted to such a case that you can map onto multiple different objects.
Uh, uh, you, well, uh, Wait, say that last part again.
Every definition that you're going to look at is going to be abstracted such that you can map it onto several different objects. That's
I think
prototype theory. And if you're interested, you should look into
I
it. It's a
think you're,
linguistic theory.
hold on. I think you're misunderstanding abstraction. So abstraction can potentially map onto reality. It just depends on what it is. So
Okay.
if it's an
I
abstraction that cannot map into reality, like let's say like a unicorn, right? it's stuck in the realm of abstraction.
Okay.
It would be fiction or fantasy.
Dope.
Right.
Just a question. When I say, like, the definition of a chair I've got pulled up, typically having four legs, a seat typically having four legs. Is that an abstraction or a factual? I don't even understand this distinction. Is that a factual or an abstractual sense to you?
Well, it's describing something that is reality based, so it would be actual.
Okay, great. I want to get rid of all ideas of abstractual. I'm never going to be referring to something abstractual. I don't even know what that is. We're gonna discard it from the conversation.
Okay.
I just want to talk about actual things.
Abstraction just means that it's just something that's in the realm of concept. It may not map onto reality. So if you have, let's say, an idea for a new design for a motorcycle, like I'll give you an example. You have a new design for a motorcycle.
I get it.
You have a concept. And your concept is an abstraction. But if you can actually, let's say, feasibly make these things come into being, like the parts and all the things and like this and that, well, then your concept becomes a reality.
Okay, awesome.
It maps onto reality.
Great. I'm never going to be referring to abstractions. Let's look at the definition of a chair, because I think that you aren't missing why I'm arguing in this way. All I'm saying is you can actually have self-referential definitions all the time. They happen I can point to a number of different definitions that use self-referential definitions. You can't supplant a definition, lift it, and place it into the statement and be intelligible. That's just not how definitions are supposed to use. They are abstractions meant to designate and map onto specific members of objects. And that's why I found such frustration.
That's actual?
Sure. Yes. Something that is actual. We
we
got rid of the abstraction.
Resolve that.
Cool.
Okay, great. So it must map onto reality. The description must map onto reality. So then it is actual.
Sure.
That's the point that I'm trying to make to you.
Okay, First off, I've never heard this in the field of linguistics, is abstractual versus factual. I do think that you might have made it up, but it doesn't matter, because I'm only ever going to be referring to things that I can map onto reality. So
no, I didn't make it up, actually.
Okay,
in
awesome.
fact, I learned. Go ahead. I just don't think you understand the analytic synthetic distinction, man. And
it's been a while since I've read Kant. I get it. But I do have a degree in philosophy. I do think that I'm somewhat aware of the analytic synthetic distinction. I largely reject it. I think that Kant is way too much of a realist for me.
So you're into philosophy of language then. What is parse? What is syntax?
Parse? I've never heard that.
Parse, as in when we parse the word or parse the sentence.
Parsing versus syntax?
Well, there's parse.
I know the syntax and semantics distinction. I've never heard of parse.
Parse is essentially breaking down either the word or the sentence. So the easiest example I can give of this is to say syllables. Syllables are a parse of the word or a parse of the word.
Cool. Yeah, and I definitely get the distinction between syntax and semantics. So I understand
and sometimes
that,
the parsing of the word can help you see its true or original meaning. So if I said to you,
I don't
wind up. If I said wind up and then I said rewind, right? Wind that, or I said rewind, right? Well, re is a prefix. Once we parse that, it's a prefix.
Right,
the
but
prefix
that's probably
modifies the word into a different condition, right? And
I'm going to give a great example because I'm glad you brought that up. Okay. What about the word reify? I've used that word a couple times. You can look it up if you want. It sort of means to take it's a fallacy. I would look at reify and I would say, okay, well, re means again. What does if I mean? I don't know what the hell that.
It either means past or backwards.
Actually, doesn't.
Re.
Reify actually doesn't mean again at all. It comes from the Latin res.
Re. The prefix
it's not a prefix
re
in reification.
Either means backwards
it doesn't
or
in that word. So what I'm saying is you are looking at the etymology of a word and making a rule out of it. But very often, many words don't follow those rules. I can point to a countless amount of words that start with the two letters re that don't refer etymologically to re from the Latin, meaning again, or map onto the idea of doing something again or doing something backwards.
All right. This is what I was going to get to, right? So, because what is the English language primarily comprised of?
Latin and Greek, I'd probably say. Some
Phoenician as
Anglo-Saxon.
well, some German
Sure.
and French in
Yeah, yeah,
there as
yeah.
well
Some
too.
Greek. Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Totally.
So, yeah, and this is why it's always so hard to communicate in English when we get down to the nitty gritty,
But
is
that's every
because of
language,
that. And that,
right?
yes, every language, but English in particular, because English has a number of, like I said, Latin, Greek, Phoenician, French.
Sorry,
The
every
words,
language is going to be. I do
themselves
fully disagree
are
with this.
Greek, Latin, Phoenician amalgamations,
Yeah.
right? And so that's what the parse is about. The parse helps you get back, or helps you denote from its root meaning.
Okay, but you're saying it like it's a rule, but it's not a rule. There's going to be tons of ways that you can organize language in which parsing it
Sure.
for meaning is actually going to pull you away from the meaning of it.
Oh, okay. Well, again, the whole point is to show, right? Because English is a very bastardized language, and this is why we miscommunicate all the time.
All languages are bastardized. I hate this. It's
In a sense, right? But in a sense, yes. And this is why I mentioned the prepositional phrase earlier, right? Because most language structures or sentence structures are structured in an adverb, adjective, pronoun style fashion of communication. And in doing that, that distorts the meaning sometimes, because you have adverbs or modifying other adverbs or adjectives, and in doing that, that can modify the meaning of the word, and that's why we miscommunicate a lot. And that's why I gave you the example of the prepositional phrase, because that is a more direct way of communicating facts or meaning. Does that make sense?
personally, I think that the reason why we struggle so much with communication is we have people who are overly pedantic and believe that language follows a set of absolute rules and adhere to. Here, I'm going to give this example actually because I think this is helpful. I actually used to be very similar to you. I used to believe that there were very strong forms of rules, grammatical rules, and if we just adhere to them more, we would end our miscommunication. It really bugged the shit out of me. Like it really upset me. And when I was in high school, it was a big passion project of mine that I would correct people's grammar. I was an obnoxious little tool. And then I learned that one of the rules of English is that you shouldn't end your sentences in a preposition. Then I remember one time I really tried to adhere really close to it, and I was asking someone like, I was like, "Oh, where are you?" And I like caught myself before I said, "Where are you from?" And I said, "From where are you?" And I sounded like an insane person. I sounded like I didn't know what the hell I was talking about because that's not a rule. We just generally don't end sentences with prepositions. It's just a thing we just kind of just don't do. And like there are no rules in language. It's all just what is more intelligible, and things drift in terms of coherence, in terms of cohesion, and they get negotiated through meaning. Um, and these rules fluctuate and change as language grows, and language becomes different dialects, and you know they all. I don't know. I don't believe in these subset of facts and rules when it comes to linguistics or language, and I think that they are more muddying the water than you think. I will say as well,
I
I'm
would
going to
disagree.
probably end pretty soon. And
Okay.
that's not
Well,
because of you. It's just because I got kids to pick up. And I hope that
sure.
you don't feel attacked. I hope that you don't feel like I've been too aggressive on you. I have been frustrated, but I haven't been frustrated with you personally. Um, and
No, this is a good
Yeah,
conversation.
continue.
I very rarely get this deep into the language, but
Yeah, I sometimes regret getting this deep into the language, but I don't know. I sometimes enjoy it too. So I can't really.
well, so
I'm not very
like I
consistent.
said, I do agree with you in the sense that, right, there can be multiple ways to convey things. When we look at, though, language, and this is why I mentioned syntax. Syntax is order of operations, and that's what gives meaning to the structure of the words
Yeah,
and the sentence structure itself.
and I'm worried
Without
that.
it,
Yeah, I'm just worried
we're
about
just
adhering.
idiots babbling nonsense.
I'm worried about it more adhering to this this substructure of language that doesn't really necessarily exist that we break all of the time. We're gonna lose ourselves, and like I think that like I know it sounds silly, like oh just use language in the way that everyone uses language. Well, doesn't that mean unintelligibility? No, I disagree. I think that when we pretend and we just focus in on these definite rules. No, it needs to follow this specific syntax, and we can actually presuppose if we just investigate, where you get lost in the sauce, and suddenly we're not
Well,
communicating anything at
so here's
all.
my view on that. My view is, here's the thing.
Hmm.
I think we need to have a factually based form of communication so that we can communicate truth and facts.
Mm.
And then I think once we have that, or we just learn to communicate that way, I think it's perfectly okay to communicate an expression as well. So if you want to say, trans woman is a woman and this and that, I'm like, are you being, and you're not conveying that in some prepositional fact sense where you're asserting that to be literal, then I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. I guess they're just, doing their own thing or whatnot. I know at least not to take it as a fact, right, and take it literal, right? So that's always the distinction: is this person being literal, or are they just being expressive?
Sure.
So
I'm gonna say one more thing you can respond to it, because I do want to give you the final word. I will say, I do think, personally speaking, this should annoy you about every category. Every category is going to have these sort of blurry boundaries where what we refer to is sort of socially decided upon and pretty abstract and sometimes really hard to reify. And I think that the reason why you're maybe frustrated with women is ideological disposition. I am worried that the way that we treat women is actually very similar to the way that we treat every category. But for some reason, it just drives conservatives completely up the fucking wall. We just need facts when it comes to this. We don't have facts for anything.
Okay. No, I'm not frustrated with it. Okay, like I said, I'm from California originally, and let me tell you something, man. You can't be from California and not know some LGBs, man. You can't. It's impossible, right? They're everywhere. They're everywhere. So I
you
never
say it like
even
you're
had.
ducking. They're everywhere.
They're everywhere, man. I probably like you have those kinds of friends everywhere. But my point is that in saying that is that I didn't even have a dog in this race for the longest time, and it wasn't until I saw them trying to push this as fact, and I saw the confusion it was causing in children, and I realized, and I thought to myself, if we don't give our children or the youth a foundation of fact, well, then they're not going to be able to make good decisions, because people make the best decisions when they have the facts. And so we're setting up our children for failure, especially if we're implanting concepts in their head that are fictional and we're positing them as reality. So if we do that, we can be setting up our children, the youth, for not making good decisions, and then also for not being able to cope with reality. And I think that is incredibly dangerous for people who cannot distinguish that, right? Because when children are young, they believe almost anything.
Sure. I am going to respond, but not as I hope that I'm still giving you the final word, because I'm just going to agree with a couple things.
I'm just letting you know why I have a dog in this.
Sure.
It's because I was very left leaning up until about 7 or 8 years ago. Right. And then, So, but my point is that the reason, the reason I care about this is because it's potentially setting, young people up for failure. And it's also potentially opening the door for women, real women. It's setting them up for having opportunities taken away from them. And I don't want that. I don't want an abuses to occur like that. I want women to feel safe in society, to have their own designated space. I want them to participate in society.
Sure.
And that's why I'm in this. That's why I have a dog in this race now.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
I do want to just clarify a couple things. This isn't necessarily a response, so I hope you still feel like I'm giving your final word.
Sure.
I think that look, I've got 2 kids. One is a boy and one is a girl, and I tell them as such. I mean, they're a little too young to even understand what boy and girl means, but one is a he and one is a she, and I refer to them as such. I think that that's probably unhelpful to completely get rid of this idea of gender to make babies, and that probably would make kids feel pretty confused. And I don't think that that's necessarily the right path forward. And that's not really what I'm advocating here for. I also want to say, I think that a lot of people have done a really bad job of asserting factualness to this, like self-ID, like that's the definition of a woman, that just end up confusing more people without giving them a good philosophical background to understand these things. But also, here's the last thing. When it comes to trans people, really, I think the best way, if you're not really sure about, you don't want to engage in the philosophy of language, I find it interesting, which is kind of why I've delved in. Just don't be a dick to someone, okay? If someone is going in and you just point to them and go, you're a liar, you shouldn't be, that's an asshole move. You shouldn't be doing that. And I hope that we can all agree, even the people who...
Well, this is how I would look at that situation. I would look at it as a boundary violation and typically when people violate boundaries, we become suspicious at the very least of them, because the person who doesn't respect boundaries is potentially somebody who's a threat.
So,
And that is a
whoa.
natural, hold on, I'm not saying they literally are, but I'm saying that that's what boundaries do in us. They invoke suspicion, because
So
people do not.
if someone says they're a woman and and you find out that they actually have XY chromosomes, you consider them a threat
Well, if I find
for
out that they
violating your
lied,
boundaries?
if I found out they lied, yeah, I'd probably be very
That is so
suspicious
aggressive.
at the least of that person. Because people who do not, that's predatory behavior to not respect boundaries, dude. I'm just
Okay.
saying.
Yeah, but that's not a boundary that you have. Is everyone with XY chromosomes need to say that they are he, otherwise they're lying to me.
I'm
That's
not
not.
saying I particularly going to be threatened because I'm a pretty big boy,
You
but I'm
said that
saying
you should.
it's the principle of the matter.
Okay.
They may not be a
All
threat to
right.
me. They could be a threat
I
to
do have to
somebody.
get going.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
All
All
right.
right. Hey, man. Well, thank you for the conversation, man.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.